What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Black Man Unfiltered Network. Get your popcorn ready. Ladies, get your glass of wine together right now. Sip it, because we're about to take you on an emotional journey that you've never been on in your life. You're going to laugh, you're going to cry, you're going to be mad, you're going to be happy, you're going to agree, you're going to disagree, and that's what Black Man Unfiltered is about. We want all of you to have a voice, and this is the place where voices are heard. So thank you guys, because we're going to have the conversations that nobody else wants to have, and we're going to come to a medium, we're going to come to solutions, or we're going to agree to disagree, but you're in the right place to do it. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and I want to introduce you guys to all the shows that's on the network coming up on this next slide. Peace!
All right, what's up? Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of Unapologetic with Mandrell. I being Mandrell. All right, now let's see who we got in the chat. Lacious Journey. Hey, how you doing? Jenny Morena, always here supporting your boy. Thank you very much for coming. Let's see, we got a few more people in. You got 8 people in the chat, but we only got 6 likes. What's with that? Come on, everybody. Let's see. Well, tonight it's going to be a little different from usual. We usually, well, not really, but this one's going to be much more informational and educational. Okay, so, but before we get to that, Big Bad Bull, what's going on? Thanks for coming. All right, before we get to that, I have a very special guest tonight. He's going to co-host with me, and we're going to talk about this issue of debt. Okay, it's not specifically to the Black community, and in that way, tonight's show will be different. This one is kind of aimed at everyone. But before we get to all that, like I said, let's get to introducing my guest, Deuce. Deuce, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
All right, no problem, no problem. This is Deuce. You can catch him a lot of more often on the Great Pill podcast. Fantastic content over there. It really is. I'm gonna subscribe over there myself. I reckon. Hey, everybody, go over there and subscribe to Great Pill podcast. You got you have a channel yourself, Deuce?
I'm working on it. I'm gonna be starting a channel with my twin brother. So we're working on the details right now.
Okay, no problem. A fellow Army vet.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for your service, brother.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Thanks for your service. All right. Tonight we're going to be talking about debt, Deuce. Now, what do you think about this? Like, the debt solution. That's what tonight's episode is. All right. So, first of all, your impressions on debt in America. What are your thoughts in general? Just, I mean, what do you know about it? How shit works? Because I've been looking at this. I've been planning this show for like weeks, and it's because it came across my, so it got to the point where they're talking about student loan debt. Then it got to this thing with auto loan debt at these lemon lots. You know what I'm saying? I was like, okay, listen, this is not entirely the fault of the public. It really, not entirely. You know what I'm saying? So that's what made me do this show. I started taking down notes and doing research back then. But your opinion.
So you're right. It's not like it's not usually the fault of the people, right? It's the system. Because you really can't do anything without credit. You can't do anything without building credit and taking on debt to build your credit. So I think the problem is a lot of times when you get people live outside their means, that's first of all. Mm-hmm. And then when they get to a certain level in life, it's like, what to say, more money, more problems. But what it is the second that you get a good job, or the second you get a job, people are like, oh, well, you got this good job. Why don't you have a car? You got this good job. Why don't you have a house? Right. So instead of you getting that new job where your income has probably increased by 20 grand, 30 grand, and still maintaining your same quality of life with that higher income and building up a savings and building up a nest egg and building up a emergency fund, you immediately go and put yourself into more debt commensurate to your new income.
Right.
So I think it's a lot.
You don't even break even.
No. No, you're constantly living in the red.
Right.
Constantly in the red.
Yeah, like how many people go out and get new cars the second they get
as
a raise?
Soon as they get the new job. So they get the new job, they get
right.
They get a bunch of debt. I mean, we saw this in the military. As soon as these kids probably, this was their first job you ever had. You're making maybe $30,000, 28. You're a brand new private, and then
not even.
You're driving a Challenger, a Camaro.
Right. Like how'd you even get that?
28% interest. Come on,
28% interest.
Man, listen, we had this conversation with this kid, and we gave him like, you have 4 NCOs in the room with them, giving them, 40 years worth of military experience, putting this brand new private on game. And he came back in Monday. I don't know if he thought by us talking about a car, it made him want to go get a car, but I know he pulled up. I was a recruiter at the time. He pulled up to our recruiting station and a brand new 2020 Challenger. I was like, dude, you're 19 years old. I know you don't have any credit. I know somebody had to co-sign that for you. Who co-signed that for you? Oh, my uncle. Oh. What's your interest rate? I bet you it's over 20%. Yeah, it was like 26.5% or something like that. I was like, bro, I hope you don't, you know what? I hope you like defect food because you're going to be eating there for the rest of your career.
Because you're going to be paying on that car for a long time.
$800 just to be on the road. When you combine what his car note was, his insurance, and then you factor in gas. This kid is paying it was like almost $900 a month just to drive.
That's the thing, exactly, and that's the thing. Like, and what I've noticed is that a lot of people put stock into that. They'll have that Challenger, and they'll have the Hemi. You know what I'm saying? Not the Hellcat, but the Hemi. The normal Hemi, right? They have that, but then they pull up in an apartment.
Right.
I got a neighbor right now out front driving a Challenger with a Hemi in it, and I'm like, why? Why don't you buy a house? You know what I'm saying? I was like, why are you pulling up in an apartment with? And the thing is, there's Mercedes out front, there's BMWs. I mean, out the wazoo, out in that parking lot. Now, I had a Silverado, right? But it was I paid for it in 3 years. You know what I'm saying? I bought it brand new, paid that sucker off, done. Right? No car note. Now it's sitting out in the parking lot by itself, pretty as you please, and an Asian woman jumps a curve, hits it. Literally nothing else in the parking lot to hit. Sunny day, not raining, no excuse. She hits it in the front quarter panel, right behind the front headlight, and you can tell that she panicked and hit the accelerator because she drug the damage all the way down the entire driver's side of the truck.
Damn.
Right now, I say that to say this. I'm now driving my sister lives in New York. She lives in Manhattan, right? She left her car here. It's a 2006 Honda 6 or 16 Honda Civic, something like that, right? I said, well, she's not using. I called her up and said, yeah, you're not using your car, so I'm going to take it. I'll drive around until I find something on the road that I want to buy. And so that's what I'm just driving around in. I'm glad too, because look at these gas prices.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because think if I had a truck, if I still had my truck, that'd be $100 to fill that gas tank up.
Absolutely. I just came from New York on Thursday, and my mom drives a Mercedes SUV, and it was like it was more than that. It was like $125. Like, it's the difference between filling up out of state, which is why everybody always tries to fill up in Jersey or Pennsylvania if they're coming back in before they go back to New York. Because you go to New York, you're paying like $150 to fill up a truck.
Jesus,
ridiculous.
It is, and we're gonna get to car auto loans because I thought that was insane in my opinion. And you and I can tell stories about soldiers who get into this nonsense. But first, let's start off with the one student loan debt, right? Student loan debt. All right, for everyone in the audience, hundreds of thousands of people start college every year, right? With 7 out of 10 students leaving college in debt. All right, college debt exceeds over $1 trillion today. Over $1 trillion in just student loan debt across all Americans. Student loan debt is now larger than credit cards and auto loans. It is second only to mortgages. That's the only thing the only debt that's more than student loan debt. It's the most collectible debt there is. It is non-dischargeable in bankruptcy. They will garnish your wages, intercept your tax returns. They will sue you in court, and it has tripled in the last decade. Reasons why? The states have slashed funding for higher education nationwide by 23%. Right? Now, universities have countered this by increasing tuition rates, forcing students to take out more and larger loans. Another consequence of this is these cuts have some community colleges have had to. Oh yeah, these cuts, as another consequence, these cuts have forced some community colleges to decrease in capacity, leading situations like there's a nursing program in University of North Carolina, right? Which there's a waiting list to get on the waiting list. So because the states have cut funding to University of North Carolina, they've had to cut staff because they don't have the money, right? The universities. So they've cut staff to the point where there's a waiting list to get on the waiting list to get into the nursing program there. And that's not the only one. Other universities have done this too. Universities and just community colleges. What do you think of that?
It's ridiculous, but it's capitalism. That's just how it works. If your goal in capitalism is to always increase your profit margins year by year, so you're going to see those increases in education, right? You can't stop it, and especially programs like nursing programs specifically, because nursing programs have always been a little bit more expensive because there's this perception of exclusivity, right? Everybody can't become a nurse, so you can't have everybody flooding into a nursing program because nurses make good money, so everybody's going to want to jump into nursing. So those programs end up having those unique situations with waiting lists and stuff like that, which is what would cause, especially for public universities and community colleges and stuff, which is why the private nursing education arena has exploded the way it is, and that's super expensive. So you don't have a waiting list if you go to a private school for a nursing program. You get right in, but you're also going to pay. You're going to pay for that immediate access, which you're talking more debt, and I'm talking about a lot of debt.
Yeah. In fact, let's get into that right now. Because I'm glad you brought that up, because another problem is, like you're saying, for-profit schools or private schools. For-profit schools are publicly traded on Wall Street. Some of them, just to name a few, is just ITT Tech, University of Phoenix, and Everest College. You know what I'm saying? These are for-profit schools that are traded on Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
And you said earlier, about capitalism. This is why in my opinion, things like healthcare and education should never be for profit. That's just my opinion. But what worries me about my philosophy is that what happens when the government doesn't see it as being as essential as it needs to be, and they cut funding, and then it just goes to crap. You know what I'm saying? The quality of the instructors isn't there anymore. And with these public schools already get endowments, and I'm afraid it would become a mess if college was free, like it is in other countries. In other countries, like there are people who leave here and go to Germany and other countries like that because tuition is either much cheaper or non-existent. It's free. You just have to qualify to get into the program. Right. Scholastics, extracurricular activities, things that, internships, things of that nature. You qualify to get into the program, then you're there and you don't have to pay tuition for it. A lot of people leave America and go to these other schools in other countries. My fear is that if we try that here in America, where college is free, I'm afraid it might go to crap. What do you think? I don't trust our government. That's my thing.
Yeah. Well, okay. So first of all,
yeah, he talked about it.
So coming out of, I used to, coming out of recruiting, right? I used to deal with high schools a lot. Mm-hmm. So if you just see how government, like ever since like No Child Left Behind, listen, I don't care what I don't care what the stats is saying about graduation rates. I don't care what you have to look at, like graduation rates and college acceptances can be like fudged. Those stats are fudged because when you look at actually like the abilities of kids coming out of high school now, these kids are below standard. Most of these kids aren't even functioning like on a college reading level, let alone math, right? And that's the whole problem with this No Child Left Behind and these charter schools and stuff like that, because they have a totally different curriculum that does not prepare them for collegiate level work. It does not. And I saw this as that was my biggest struggle as a recruiter the whole time that I was a recruiter, because these kids would have fudged grades. So all of them has. I have 2 college degrees. I did not graduate high school with a good GPA at all, but I had good SAT scores, right? So there was something showing that I had the ability. The only things these kids are getting into school with is just based off of their GPA, which we know could all be fudged. Now, if I know you can't read, on a high school level, there's no way in this world you have a 3.0 GPA. No way in this world. But if you have a 3.0 GPA, you could pretty much get into school without taking any type of entrance exams. If you have a 3.0 GPA in all subjects, especially math and English, if you have less than a 3.0, you have to take an entrance exam.
Wow. Less than a 3.0.
Yep. So all these kids are graduating with 3.0 GPAs, and then they go off to college. Now the schools don't care, right? Because once they get the record, once you accept your college, once you are accepted into college and you do your FAFSA, they get the credit. And it's like, oh, we have a 99% college acceptance rate. Whether you go to a 2-year college, whether you go to a city or state school or a private university, they don't care. Which a lot of the schools with 99% college acceptance rates, all those kids were going to community college. Point blank, period. Because the schools know better, especially the schools that's in the state. So they look at your ACT scores or you look at your SAT scores. And if it wasn't up to par, you might get waitlisted but they knew what schools you would get automatically accepted to. If you have a high school diploma, you'll automatically get accepted to a community college. So they was like, listen, just apply to everything and accept whichever one you get accepted to. Go there for a year, go to the school you really want to go to, whether you want to go to a HBCU or whether you want to go to a PWI, it doesn't matter. And this is what they were doing just so to get that 99% acceptance rate. But you have a 99% acceptance rate, but you had an 80% first year college dropout rate. 80%. 80%. Most of these schools were sitting at 80%. These kids could not do the work.
Okay, new growth.
And that's with government injecting itself at the high school level. If they inject themselves at the collegiate level, we're going to be worse off.
Yeah. Jesus. Okay. New growth says in Georgia, they have a Hope Scholarship. The Hope Scholarship 2.5, you could go to state college free. It was a great benefit to our community. I'd like you to elaborate more on that. Like a free scholarship to college. That's cool. Like, how do you qualify for something like that? I think we need more programs like this for kids who can actually do the work. But my thing is, here's the thing. I never understood that whole concept with college. When people say college, you can't do the. Now I understand people who just don't like school, right? Mm-hmm. And don't want to go to college. I mean, they'll go to college because they feel like they have to, because everyone tells them you have to go to college to get a good job, this, that, and the other. I feel them on that. Now that's understandable. School ain't for you. It ain't your thing then. Cool. But people who go to college and then like 80% dropout rate first year though. You know what I mean? Like you didn't even try. That's my thing. Like for me, I went to college and I was here's what I noticed. There was no difference between college and high school. Mm-mm. I didn't see a difference. You know what I mean? I was like, it's just schoolwork.
It's discipline. At the end of the day, I was probably one of the worst students, right? I was probably one of the worst students in my high school, but I tested very well. So I could pretty much get by on just being able to take tests. But I didn't do homework. I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't do homework. And my friend, I was dating a girl. I was dating these girls. I was dating a girl. She was the salutatorian for the school. Her cousin was the valedictorian. My brother was dating her. And so now you're dating two of the worst students. Two of the smartest girls in school are dating two of the worst students, right? Mm-hmm. Just on paper. But I ended up being like in the top 5 for my SAT score of the whole school. And I had the highest verbal score in the history of my school. I didn't do that hot on math, but I did really well. Almost maxed the verbal part. Right. And she told me, she's like, hey, she's not really all that smart. She's just very disciplined. She's very disciplined. She's disciplined in the way she does her homework. She's disciplined in the way she studies. And that's the reason why. And this is her cousin saying this. It's about her. And that's why she does so well. And that planted the seed in my head when I got to college a few years later. And I was like, okay, I just need to be disciplined. Right. And then that's why I did so well throughout my college career, just because of that little nugget of advice. And somebody took a chance on me to get me into a 4-year university instead of me having to go to a 2-year university. But the reason he did that was he saw my test scores and he was like, listen, your test scores are phenomenal. Your grades are trash. that means you're lazy.
Yeah.
If I let you in this school, you better not do that in here. I'll kick you out immediately. And I was like, all right, thank you. Give me a chance. I won't let you down. And I maintained a 3.7 my entire college career.
Nice.
But somebody had to take a chance on me. But but you have to have a proven track record. People always want people to take chances on you, but you have to have some type of proven track of success for people to take a chance on. And that's what I learned from that interaction. Applying that to what I was dealing with when I was dealing with these high school kids for 3.5 years as a recruiter, these kids aren't earning the grades. Like, I wish I had to do extra work just to get myself up to a D, just to get the credit to graduate, right? It was like, hey, you didn't do this work on time. You're going to have to do this makeup test. You're going to have to do an extra book report or something like that. But that's only going to get you enough points to get you up to a D or a C minus. As long as I get the credit, that's all I cared about. 65 is passing. I don't care. These kids can do that and get a 3.0. There is no way that I had a kid that they told me he was definitely not graduating. He had like a 0 in everything. And then this kid graduates with a 3.0. Impossible.
How do you get a 0?
Impossible. He wasn't doing any of the work. He didn't do any work in the beginning of the school year. And then this kid graduates. He made up all his work and he graduated. What makeup work did you give him? Was it multiple choice?
Oh my God! 3 points.
And that's the thing that kid. That's the thing. That's the thing.
Look at Marcus says. Graduated with a 3.4 GPA, but kids don't push to get Cal grants, endorsement scholarships, FAFSA. You got to put some punctuations in here, man. You need some commas. It's just one big long run-on sentence, one big long stream of content. Top of the first priority, whether it's a community trade school. See, without punctuation, we don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, he's absolutely right. All the same, kids don't push to get Cal grants, endorsement scholarships, FAFSA. You know what I'm saying? They don't push to get that. My thing is, they just go for why do they just go for student loans? Like, for instance, especially when they go to private schools, like for-profit schools account for only about a third of all student debt. It accounts for a third of all student loan debt. Okay, but check this out. Even though they only have about 13% of the student population. 13%. That's it.
Yeah.
That is a huge disparity.
Absolutely.
13. They only have 13% of the student population, but they have a third of the student loan debt.
So with why kids take on student loans is because, like, in my experience, what I've seen, a lot of kids want to go. Obviously, you want to go to the best school that you can go to, right? You'll want to go to the best school you got accepted to. But listen, if you're not there financially, like, I graduated high school. I was supposed to graduate in 2005. I graduated in 2006. I knew that there was a student loan debt crisis then in 2005, 2006, when we were in the like the beginning of the recession, right? Or we were like in the middle of the recession. I knew that, so I knew I wasn't taking out any loans. So when I went to college, I paid for school out of pocket. I used to be a manager at Taco Bell, and I got promoted pretty young, or whatever. I was about 17 years old. So pretty much, I never got to use my money for me. I had to go to the Bursar's office, and I was on a payment plan, and I had to pay the Bursar every month with my Taco Bell checks. But I knew I didn't want that because I would never be able to pay that off. Like, could you imagine buying a car? Like, I know you get the car for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, even 8 years, which is ridiculous, right? But at least you know that there's a payment plan, a structured payment plan for that car to get paid off in a definitive amount of time. Could you imagine, like, yeah, you're going to have this debt for the rest of your life? Hey, you'll pay it off before you die. Yeah, we have a plan where you can pay it off in 30 years. And there's some people paying, what, $1,000 a month for 30 years, $800 a month for 30 years. What school did you go to?
Yeah. So what now?
No, I was saying, well, what school do you go to where you're paying that much money, right? But like I said, people want to. I think it's a flex thing. When you're young, you don't listen, and then you got to, like, there's a lot of factors, right? You could be maybe you're a first generation college student in your family. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want to just go to a community college. You don't want to just go to a local school. Like my sister is adamant about not going to a college in her state, and I'm like, you have several good schools in your state. I understand why not. You just want to leave your state and go somewhere else. Well, all right, that out of state tuition is going to tack on another 30, like 20, 30 grand per year to your tuition. It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
And don't count scholarships and grants and all the stuff like that until you got them in your pocket.
Yeah, you have to get awarded them first.
Huh.
I mean, because until then, like you're right, you're absolutely right. Until then, you don't have it, so you can't even factor that into your budget. Oh, New Growth answered the question we had for him earlier, and he was talking about that scholarship in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
He says that it started in 1993. Now it's a 3.0 requirement. They will pay up to $8,000 per semester. So, all right, that is pretty good. Get a 3.0, I mean, you'll be fine. Now, my last bullet point for this school stuff: 5 to 6 private schools or for-profit universities, right? They cost up to 5 to 6 times the cost of a community college and twice the cost of a university, of a four-year university. My thing is, why would you bother? Why would you bother? It's not an Ivy League school; it's a for-profit university. Why would you bother when the prices are like that? Like we ain't signing shit. Said the college is for networking and to meet your spouse, your husband or wife. You know what I mean? And by and large, yeah, that's a part of it too. I mean, he's not wrong. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But to come out of it thousands of dollars in debt, and I met my wife. What are we going to do with the money now? What are we going to do with the money now? You know what I'm saying?
But I think really what that really comes from is that you don't have a lot of, you don't see this from second and third generation college graduates. You see this from a lot of first generation college graduates, right? And with that, you don't have anybody that can kind of talk you through the process and kind of give you like real that's going to take the time to explain to you what navigating life in college and after college is about, because everybody else that you had is a teacher, right? Most of the bulk of the college graduates that you're going to meet in your lifetime are going to be your educators, right? But they have a corporate line to kind of toe, which is like, no, go to college. You could be anything you want. Oh, I want to be an electrical engineer. Well, you can't do math, but yeah, you could do it if you just work hard. Nobody ever, like I'm from New York. So, they tell you straight up, hey man, you might want to pick another major. I've been watching you all year. You might want to pick another major.
They do.
Right. So kids just, because we would get all these kids that dropped out of college and they all had like these crazy, they all went to schools because they had this crazy program that they wanted to go to. And I think that's what the attractiveness to the for-profit schools, because the for-profit schools tend to have these very specialized programs that have these very confusing names and confusing descriptions. And the kid is like, oh, that sounds great. I want to do that. Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it's great. Right. Especially when you see like a lot of those graphic design schools, you see what like, it's like New York, right? You can throw a rock in New York and you hit a school. And then when you look at a lot of their programs, it's like, I've never heard of that degree before. And it's like, oh, well, it's just a new program that we created. And it's it basically they're trying to combine like two different majors and stuff like that, or like intersecting academic programs and stuff. And I'm like, all right. And then people jump on it because it's new and they think that this is the wave of the future. And it's like, I'm sorry, the main money makers have always been STEM. If you're not doing STEM, you're really wasting your time. Just get a degree.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. Like we ain't signing just said, if you can't get into a top 30 school, it really ain't worth it. I mean, and again, top 30 schools, like you said, that's largely about networking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And do not get a liberal arts degree. Do not do it. He's right, though. What are you going to do with a liberal arts degree? I mean, so when it comes to student loan debt,
I have a liberal arts degree. But when I was getting out of the military, I got every job that I applied for, I got accepted. Like it was like, and all they asked was, do you have a 4-year degree? Yes, that's it. It was never a question of what your degree was in. It was never a question of what you studied in school, nothing. Do you have a 4-year degree and can you provide a transcript? Most
Yeah,
jobs is getting to that point. The only ones that really need a specific degree is either like business, finance, and STEM.
yeah, that's true. Again, depends on the job you're going for as well. So when it comes to student loan debt, all right, some solutions, man. How do we keep ourselves out of debt? Because we can't trust the government. Government's not gonna help you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, other than get your GPA up and try to get a scholarship, but they don't even really. Here's the thing, man. Scholarships, they don't really, not really. There's scholarships out there available, right? But no one tells you about them. And let's see. Hold on, let's address this question. Do you think us as parents are failing our kids by not having college funds put aside? You're not helping them. That's just me. Are you failing? That might be a bit strong. What do you think, Deuce?
I felt that way because my parents didn't set aside any money for me in college. I did. But I've also recently, in the last 5 years, come to the belief that something that is not like something that's given to you or easily like once it's given to you, it takes away your own initiative. It takes away your own drive. So unless you compensate for that in other ways in that child's upbringing, this kid just knowing, oh, my college is taken care of, it's going to give them this very nonchalant attitude about college.
You don't appreciate it until you have to earn it yourself.
Until you earn it yourself. I earn mine myself. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you can't tell me nothing about my degree. I spent 4 years at Taco Bell paying for that degree. That's why I don't have any student loan debt. And then my master's was paid for by the military. So, and then I still haven't used my GL bill yet. So if I want to do law school or a doctorate, I can still do it. I gave myself those options. I wouldn't necessarily recommend the military to everybody, but it is definitely an option. Do your 4 years, do your one contract, get in and out, get the benefits, go to school, and you don't have to worry about debt, and you can make money in the process. The military is a good route. The other route is make sure you're academically high achieving throughout high school. Then you can qualify for automatic like scholarships and stuff, because if I would have had a 3.0 GPA when I applied for my school, I would have automatically got like a $2,500 scholarship. And that's like automatic.
Nice.
So that's work that you could put in on the front end that's going to benefit you later.
Yeah. Honestly, I think these knuckleheads these days need the military. I honestly think that it should be mandatory. And you get the same. Well, you can't get the benefits because the benefits are incentives to join. You know what I'm saying? But if it gives you free college, no, I recommend military for people. I think everybody should do every boy should be in the military. Here we go. Teach our kids what we are not taught in regards to money and finance. Yes. Start with simple household budgets. I agree with Jenny Moreno on that one. You do have to teach them. We should teach our kids what we didn't learn growing up. You see, I'm having my kids go into the military to find scholarships to pay for. Yeah, I agree with you. Primal studies. That's what I was just saying. I recommend, especially if you have a boy. I think all men should go into the military, serve at least 4 years, not just 2, because you don't really get anything out of it. 4 years.
Oh, they don't have 2 years anymore.
What do they have now?
It's 4 years, or pretty much like that 8-year total between the reserves and active.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so they took away the 2 years.
Yeah, no more of that.
Why do they do it in the first place? Is it wartime? They're just trying to get bodies downrange?
Yeah, I think so. Because, it was 2 years through like the Clinton administration and stuff. It was like 2 years forever. And then when they got to like, back to like the 2000s and stuff like that, you had this high attrition rate, right? Like people would get to the end of their contract and they were just out. And that didn't work well with, Afghanistan, Iraq, and what was going on in the Middle East. So then they ended up extending it 4 years minimum.
I agree with it. Get in there, stick in it, learn some discipline. You know what I'm saying? I can't have somebody talking to me like that, and that's your problem. I'm too sensitive. Walking around here triggered by everything anyone says to you. You know what I'm saying? I don't get it.
But some kids are going to college and learning that. Like that's what they're getting at some of these universities.
Yeah. That whole thing, bruv. No, my recommendation. Yeah, I can go on a whole tirade about that, but solution. My solution is join the military, get that GI Bill. It's a 2-for-1. You know what I mean? And while you're in the military, they pay for whatever college classes you take.
Mm-hmm.
So get as much done while you're in as you can, if you can. You know, if you have the time, get as much done as you can while you're in the military. You can take a class per semester, or 2 classes a semester. You know what I'm saying?
You take one class every 10 weeks.
There you go. 1 class every 10 weeks.
Yeah, it's like 8 to 10 week class. It's like 8 week classes. Then it's like a 2 week break, and then you'll start up your next class.
Exactly.
It's cake.
And take as many classes as you can while you're in, and then when you get out, if you're not done, you got what, a semester left? I mean,
about 2 years.
Yeah.
Basically, if you look at that, the Army pays for about five classes per year, and there's a little bit of money left over for you to pay for a 6th class, but you got to come out of pocket for that, or you can do like FAFSA, you can apply for Pell. So you do 4 years, you've knocked out 2 years worth of college in 4 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then with your joint service transcript, you can do whatever schools you apply to, whatever will apply that to your electives, because nobody cares about your electives, because the electives are just electives, right? And then pretty much when you after you're done with that, you pretty much only have 1 year left, like 1 year worth of classes left, 10 classes. That's it.
Nice. Okay.
So that's why a lot of people end up. That's the incentive to probably staying a little longer. It's like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna re-enlist maybe for another 2 years till I finish my degree, and then I get out. But come on, all right, you staying for 6 years, you finish your degree. Now you have 6 years work experience. You're making good money. You know what I'm saying? You could build your savings, you can build your career. You're building your resume the entire time, and then now you could transition out, and you're okay. Like just not bad, right? You just got to play the game. And you got to do what you're told to do, what you're supposed to do, and be in the right place in the right time, right uniform. It's as simple as that. And I tell people, the people that can't stand that about the military, listen, when you go into the real world, you're gonna have to do that too. I was a manager at 17. Like when I got to the military, I was like, "Yo, this is cake." People was like, "Oh, I used to manage a restaurant with 20 something employees at one time." Like, this is cake.
Nothing.
So if you want these high level jobs, or you want a good job and stuff like that, like people want jobs now where they don't have if you want a job where you make money and respectable career, guess what? You're gonna have to deal with that in the military, and you're gonna have to deal. Whoever's cutting your check is gonna be able to talk to you a little bit crazy.
Exactly.
Unless you work for yourself or you're an entrepreneur.
Yep.
If it really makes you that bad, if it really hurts your feelings that bad, and it really chaps your ass, go do something else. Go become an entrepreneur and get your own job.
Go start a company or something.
Yeah.
New Growth Old School says, I feel you, but I don't think Uncle Sam should finance my kids. I have money set aside for 4 years of state college. Trust, if they don't earn it, they're not going. I get it. You got money saved up. I'm just saying we're coming up with solutions, and that's a good one. Parents, save up money for your kids' college, so that way when they get there, they don't have to deal with it. Me personally, I say the military, it's a win-win. Like we had another comment down here that he's saying, hey, you learn a skill that largely depends on what you're doing while you're in there. Okay, have your kids go in there for things like that they can do, like an MP. They can come out and be a cop. You get paid to get a skill set, and they pay for college after. No brainer. Exactly. Primal studies. That's why it's my recommendation. I don't see a problem with it. You know what I'm saying? But what about wars? What about them? I made it through. I'm all right. You could have died, and we're all gonna die someday. What's the difference?
In the city I used to recruit, and I used to tell kids all the time, they used to be like, well, what if I go to war and get killed? Like, man, have you seen what's going on out here?
Right,
you get
exactly.
killed at the store. What are you talking about?
I mean, good grief. All right. Next one. We're going to talk about payday loans for a short minute, okay? Payday loans. And I see a lot of us getting payday loans. A lot of them, right? It's a circle. Like if you ever look at their business model, it is literally in the form of a circle. It is like this point with an arrow pointed to it. It's this point with an arrow pointed to it. This, and it's like 6 points, right? Six things in their business model, and they have arrows pointing to them, and it's literally in a circle. Literally. So you never get off the hamster wheel. All right. Payday loans. There are more payday loan sites, brick and mortar shops, right, in the country than Starbucks and McDonald's combined.
I never saw that until I went to the South.
Yeah,
I didn't know what payday loan place was.
Right.
2016.
I was creative.
What is going on?
There's so many of them, man. There's more payday loan brick and mortar sites than Starbucks and McDonald's.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But
they target low income neighborhoods and stuff like that. Like, it's by design, it's not an accident that they're there, right? And it's like, it wouldn't be profitable, it wouldn't be so many if they weren't making profit, right? So they go to the place where they're most needed, and then they're always going to be in business, because the fact of the matter is, when you never have money, you don't know what to do with money. You know what I'm saying? So poor, low income people usually are bad with money because they never really had money. So that's why they don't know about budgeting and saving and stuff like that, because most of their lives, and then their family before them, have always lived paycheck to paycheck. It isn't until somebody breaks that cycle, like you said, it's a cycle, and somebody has to break that cycle and then educate the others around them so that they, you're not in this hamster wheel for the rest of your life. But like my man said, don't sign nothing.
Right.
Don't do it.
We ain't signing shit. By the way, I'm forever gonna be jealous of that name. I really am. We ain't signing shit. I'm gonna be jealous of his name forever. I love it. All right, check this out. Some of the interest rates are legally as high as 1,900%. Yeah.
What?
Legally as high as 1,900%. A full third of short-term borrowers have to reborrow before the next pay period. Some of these payday loan people, this is the one that got me, right? Some of these payday loan places have partnered with Indian tribes in order to claim state sovereign immunity to avoid tax regulations. Now, right now, there's a politician in Texas. He was lobbying on the floor against more regulations against because Texas is like, all right, this is predatory. This is ridiculous. It's insane. We got to do something about this. Let's put some more regulations on them, right? So this guy comes up, he's lobbying against it, and so another politician, a woman, comes up and says, yeah. Don't you own 27 successful payday loan establishments? He said, well, ma'am, this is not really concerning me. I'm just trying to make sure that the government doesn't come out and step on the little guy. The little guy.
You stepping on the little guy.
He means the payday loan places being the little guy. Right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anyway, they push it through. All right, and then the woman who busted him out, right? She retires and then goes and takes a board seat for a payday loan company to sit on the board. These people are making a killing. Like I said, it's common for the interest rates to be upwards of 500 to 700%. That's the most common, in between 500 and 700% interest. But again, there are some places they're legally charging people 1,900% interest. I can remember, and let's see, Von Bryant says, I can remember when I had more than 7 payday loans. It took me some years to get rid of those because I had to keep reloaning. That's the scam. Never again. Why would you have 7 payday? Vaughn, I'm going to need you to cam up once you drop the link. Explain this, sir. Why would you get a payday loan, period? Go to a bank Get a credit card, something other than a payday loan. It took you some years. I bet it did, man. You had 7. And like you said, that's the trick. A lot of these people, they have to reborrow before their next pay period, because you borrow the money and the pay period, your next pay period comes with your paycheck, you pay it off out of the money from your next paycheck. And what I guarantee you, what got Mr. Bryant here was the interest. That's why it took him years to get rid of it. It was the interest that they got him right in his foot. And good grief.
Yeah, I'm gonna need somebody to explain to me like how that goes. Because when I saw it, I thought like, okay, you were basically getting your paycheck fronted to you. Like you guys show like your pay stubs and stuff like that, and you would get your paycheck fronted to you like maybe like a week early or a few days early, and then when you got your check, you paid them back with your check and maybe a little bit extra. So what, like you pay the payday loan back in increments, like a credit card?
You can, yeah. Anything over 7% is extremely hard to pay back. True, we ain't signing. I mean, because it goes down. Look, even car loans are higher than 7%. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But they gonna get their money.
My brother was broke. He needed 7 payday loans. It's okay. I understand. Well, Miss Creative, I don't understand, sweetie. I don't get it. The payday loans, the interest, 500% to 700% is the average. Mr. Vaughn says, I was dumb at the time. I've got good sense now. I bet you do.
Well, but look at it's predatory in the sense that, think about it. You might get a hard no from the bank, right? But on the way to the bank, you done saw 14 payday loan places. Because like I think I was in like maybe like Columbus, Georgia, and I was seeing like, you see those little strip malls and stuff like that, and it'd be like 3 payday loan spots in one strip mall. And then you just pass them by like strip mall, strip mall, strip mall. And so by the time you get to any bank, and all the banks are all in the same strip mall. So you'll see like Bank of America and like those local branches and stuff like that, all like right next to each other. I done passed by like 12 payday loans before I even got to the bank. So I think it's the abundance, the volume of it, and the accessibility to it.
And plus,
they're gonna say yes.
Right. And plus, when you have them all set up like that in the same strip mall, guaranteed the same person owns all 3 of them.
Oh, absolutely.
The same person owns like all 3 of them. If they're in the same little sequestered in the same spot like that, they're either partnered up with one another or the same person owns all 3. Hi, Luke Hazley. Luke Hazley says that payday loans are awful. Yes, they are. I don't know what time. I will tell you. I got a payday loan, and a month later gave the payday loan back in full. See, that's the thing, Miss Creative. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get the payday loan and pay it off in full. Now, once you do that, you're fine, right? Because they can't charge you interest unless it's been past the next pay period or when you've agreed to pay it, right? But once you go a day past that, or if you haven't paid it all off by the close of business, they can legally charge you. Again, some places are legally charging people 1,900%. So if I borrow $1, I owe you $1,901.
That's crazy.
That's insane, dude. Off the borrowing power of $1. Wow. It's no different than if I borrow $1, I'll owe you $701 now.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the craziest one to me. Some of these rates are legally as high as 1,900% interest. I never spent that money. That was kind of dumb.
You know what? Had just in case money. I get it. You probably was like, you know what? Let me have this money just in case. Boom, I ain't need to give it back. You did it smooth. I used to I understand that, like having just in case money. I get it.
Yeah, but 1,900% interest, man. Come on.
Well, she gave it back, so she had to pay it.
Luke Casey says, I had a coworker that used to get phone calls at work from all the payday loan places she owed money to. It was stressing me out more than her. It was Luke Casey said it was stressing her out. Hola, Luke Hazley. Thank you for coming. Yeah, I mean What's up, big bad bull? Yeah, man.
I think the solution to that really is don't do it. With payday loans, unless you're absolutely desperate, you have no other, like, that's the last resort. Like, don't do it. You know what I'm saying? But it really, I think the real solution comes left of the bank, which is good financial education early in life. You know what I mean? Because it's never too late to educate yourself. It's never too late to, make good changes and break some old bad habits and pick up some good new ones. Because, there's some things that went wrong along the way that led you to that point. You know what I'm saying? As far as like managing money. So I think that's the solution to that. There's no other solution.
Right. There's no other solution to that one except to not do it. Now, if you just need some quick cash or you need some kind of currency or something like that, if you can get a credit card, get one. But I recommend saving up some money, about $500, and getting you a secure credit card.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I recommend. Go take about $500, go to a bank. I want to get a secure credit card. I want to put $500 on it and just go from there and have that just in case you're completely out. Let's see. Gina Morena says, true embodiment of loan sharks. Mafia taught them the ropes. You're absolutely right, because it is legalized loan sharking. That's exactly what this is. Legalized loan sharking. That's my alternative. Save about $500, get or more,
Mm-hmm.
and get you a secure credit card, right? Or because bottom line with this, other than that, just don't do it. Wait until you got the money, man, before you go buying stuff.
New growth also, absolutely.
Yeah, that's why buying a house is such a great investment. You can take out equity in terms of loans. Yes, you're right, absolutely. It's just too bad only rich people can afford a house nowadays. Too bad. Because the house that was $250,000 last year, the same house is like $350 now. Same house, $350 now in a year. Stop. You know what I mean?
Well, that's not I don't know where you're at, but you know how the real estate market. So that comes from how to inflate the real estate market is it goes by sales in your zip code or your neighborhood. So
no
if the guy across
anything.
somebody sold it, unless they renovated it.
Dude, I'm telling you, these are brand new development areas, right? No one's selling shit.
So it's brand new.
Yeah, brand new. These houses
That's
just
wild.
going. Wait, but the thing is, a year ago, these houses were $100,000 cheaper. Just a year ago.
Before the development?
No, they were already developing the place because I was looking at buying a house there.
Right, but it was $100,000 before the development was finished.
Yeah, the price went up to $100,000 before development.
Because to get initial investors, because they have to get their money, the developers have to get their money from somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. So they try to get people to buy in at the ground floor. But as development goes on, as development gets closer to completion,
increasing the value.
It'll increase.
Yeah,
it'll increase, and then once it's finished, the finished product will be $350,000. But anybody that kind of bought in when they first decided to develop on that property, you could get yours for significantly cheaper, which is something that my cousin did in Florida. She was like, "Oh, these houses are worth this," but I only paid like 33% of that because I came in when they had only laid the foundation. So basically, the money that you put in initially to build your house, because it really only takes about $100,000 of materials to build a house. Mm-hmm. They're selling it at 200 to 300% profit. So your $100,000 paid for them to build that house.
Nice. All right. Auto loans. This was going to be quick. What is the guest's name? Him is handsome and thick. Miss Creators, this is Deuce. Okay.
How you doing, Miss Creative?
Yes, Miss Creative. Yeah, he's on Great Pills podcast. Auto loans. This will be quick. Auto industries. The average interest rate on this is about living lots and stuff like that. But one of those buy here, pay here lots, right? All right, the average interest rates on a buy here, pay here lot is 19%, with some loans carrying up to 29%. The average default rate is 31%, 31.45%. And most people default in the first 7 months. Right? Now what gets me is that when they repo these cars, man, they repo these cars no matter what time of day. I watched the repo man hook up a woman's car with her standing right there coming out the grocery store. And as she's begging and pleading him, he's still lifting that car up. Could you please just leave it? Just let me, you can follow me home. Just let me take the groceries home so I can take my babies home. Kids within the whole nine. Still lifting that car up. And even me, I was like, yo, that is so bad. Honestly, it's a horrible shortage. Nobody's selling. You in Alabama, brother, buy you some land, cheap and build. Buy you some land, cheap and build it. Yeah, you know what? New growth. That's exactly what I'm thinking about doing. That's exactly what I'm thinking about doing. Using my GI Bill to buy some land and have a house built. I mean, that's a sensible thing because $300,000 for a house. All right, everybody, we just dropped the link. So you guys come up and tell us what you think about. If you got some solutions, come up with help us come up with some solutions to the debt crisis, or some solutions to debt. Now these auto loans. What do you think of that for these lemon lots and these buy here, pay here lots?
They're targeting people. They wouldn't open a business like that with that business model if it wasn't going to be successful in that area. Because you're not going to pull that in New York. You're not going to pull that in certain parts of like New Jersey. You're not going to pull that. You know what I'm saying? You can only pull that in very rural areas with a low median income. So don't do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't give people the satisfaction. That's not the kind of mentality I have to have with my money. You know, like, I'm not going to give you the satisfaction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, so it's one of those things you say you recommend that we just save us money, buy a car,
save money. You know, there's certain things like once you make a plan and it works, it has a proven track record of success. You're gonna do it again, right? So when people recommend having a $1,000 emergency fund, having a $1,200 emergency fund, when you get your taxes, if you are not spending your taxes on immediate bills, like you're not paying your rent with your tax return, or you're not paying your car note off or with your tax return, put your money in a savings, right? Savings, leave it alone for an emergency, because you know what happens. You're gonna get a flat tire one day. You're gonna need a new catalytic converter. You're gonna have some electrical problems with your car. Something's gonna happen, and when you can dip into that pot of money and take that happen, oh, okay, cool. I got some money saved up just for this situation. Boom. Then you're gonna be more apt to doing it, right?
Yeah, but Deuce, I need some new shoes, man. I need colognes. So I need some smell good so the ladies can love on your boy. You know what I'm saying? Look, bruh. Look,
It's incremental.
I feel you, but I mean, what are some rims, man? I need some shoes on this whip too. Not just for me, but for my whip too. All right. I need some 20s. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give me some 25. I need to give me some 25s.
If your car need all that, that mean the car trash. You know what I'm saying? Like, any car I ever had, I've only ever put, like, when I had my first car was a 1995 Acura Integra. I paid cash for it. The only modification I did to the car, because the car was already like in good condition, and it was an older car. I paid like $1,500 for it, right? But it was in really good condition. Only thing I did was put HID lights on it, and I put tints on the windows. That's all I had to do. Car looked amazing, especially at night. You know what I'm saying? When those blue lights come down the street, looked amazing. That's all you need to do. And when I had my Camaro, I didn't do anything to my Camaro. And another thing with like my Camaro, I got a really good deal on the Camaro. Interest rate was like 2.5% or something like that. And then when I sold the car, I was right side up on the car. I owed less on the car than it was worth, right? So I ended up making money when I sold the car. And so I was able to pay off with the rest of the amount. That was before I moved overseas. I was able to pay off the car. And I still had a nice chunk of money left over. Like, oh snap, okay, that's how you do it. I wouldn't do that for but just because I had I had moved a certain way. And I made like a good financial decision. I wasn't paying no crazy amount for the car. And I paid like 20 grand for it. It was the car was 2 years old.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, exactly.
Like 2 years
All
old.
right.
Maybe.
All right, what we're gonna do now, Deuce, we're gonna cut to a short commercial break. All right.
Sounds good, brother.
So if you need to hit it's quick. So if you need to hit John or something, man, go ahead and do that and come back.
All right, we'll do.
Hello, this is Security Boss. Listen, guys, I'm coming to you with something new and very exciting. It's called I Choose You. Yes, it's a new dating show, and we want all of you to get excited about it. Yes, it is a dating show. It's going to be a virtual dating show. We want all you bachelors and your bachelorettes to get excited about it. So stay tuned for I Choose You.
Driving around in California, looking for something to make me stay. Round and round forever searching for something that could never get replaced. Don't need you to save me, but I just really need to be saved. I'm just so sick of waiting for any luck to come my way. Yeah.
All right, we are back. Everybody, the link is down there. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Wes, we ain't signing. See, we ain't signing. That's the guy who told me he was going to put the 25s on his car. You know what I'm saying? And luckily, he had sense enough to listen to me and say no. Okay. So, Wes, we ain't signing. Wes, you were here first. Let's start with you. First of all, good evening, sir. How are
evening.
You?
It's been a better day than yesterday. How about that?
That's the good news. Always good news. So what do you think about the topic, man? You started with the student loans. Then we moved on to the payday loans, which
payday loans are a scam. Yes, 100%. Yes. Payday loans are it's legalized loan sharking. I don't know how they got loan sharking illegal. Or got loan sharking legalized in that manner. I guess you gotta, as long as the government gets its cut, they ain't gonna break your knees, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there are people in government who own payday loan places. Like I said, in Texas, there's this guy, I forget his name, but he owned like 27 payday loan places, and there he was in the Capitol trying to lobby against more regulations against payday loan places. But I'm like, that's a conflict of interest. What are you doing? What are you doing, man? That's a conflict of interest. Okay, payday loans are a scam.
People keep voting for that guy.
You're right.
People need to pay attention to who they're voting for. Get involved. We spent too long not being involved. People need to get involved in who they're voting for if that's the type of garbage that's going to represent you.
Exactly.
And student loans, that is a bit of a scam, but that boondoggle goes deep. You know why the government never... You know why student loans are like the one thing that you can never claim on bankruptcy, and why the government, certain people running for government are always going to say, well, let's forgive student loan debt, and then they never do it. The federal budget depends on money coming in from student loans.
Makes sense.
And they're expecting funny money returns on funny money loaned.
Funny money returns on funny money loans. Because it's over $1 trillion, though. So that makes sense. And that's what I told my sister. Like, my sister and I were talking when Joe Biden was talking about, I'm going to forgive student loan debt. A few months later, he's on the campaign trail, right? A few months later, I'm going to forgive $50,000 of student loan debt. A few months later, I'm like, he's not gonna forgive any of it. She's like, you serious? I'm like, yes. She's like, well, how do you know that? I'm like, you have any idea how much interest people are paying on all that student loan debt? She's like, no, how much? She's like, I don't know. But why would he do that? Everyone over $1 trillion of student loan debt, the amount of interest alone, my God, why would he do that? Why would he cuss us? You know what I mean? It's like, he's not going to do any of that. That would be crazy. Corn Pop Biden is cap. And these lemon lots charging people 29% interest on some of these car loans. You know what those buy now, pay now places?
Yeah, they'll put 90 weight oil in it so it works for a few weeks before it falls apart. And
that is about what they do.
Leaks all over your garage.
Exactly. We ain't signing.
How's it going? Shout out to the panel.
Daja, how?
Evening.
What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm all right. How you doing?
Good. So I think I can add a few value points for student loans and also car loans. But the first thing I want to talk about is, being comfortable living within your means, because regardless of whatever type of solution you hear, if you cannot live within your means, none of these things are going to really work, right? So the first step always starts with your mentality and how you're going to approach it, right? Because obviously you need to live within your means. So I'll talk about the auto loans first, because I used to work for Toyota, right? It was one of my jobs as a car salesman. So there's a few things you can do to make sure that, you can get the best possible deal and don't have to live like an internal debt. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go to a credit union to get the loan. You don't want to get the loan from the auto dealer itself, right? Because obviously it's going to be priced up. Second thing you want to do, you want to go on the last day or second to last day. So for example, if this month has 30 days in it, well, this month has 31 days in it, right? So let's say you're in the market for a car. This month has 30 days, April 30th. So you want to go to the dealership on the 29th or the 30th, and you want to say this: can I see your invoice? Before you test drive, before you do whatever, you do your due diligence and research. You want to say, come and you want to ask, can I see the invoice? And then they'll show you the invoice, and then you'll say, I'll pay you $100 over invoice, right? And so that's two things. Number one, you pay less Number one, they're trying to get the cars out, right? Because they need to get new cars in every month. So whatever is at the end, they're trying to get out, right? Because they can't hold inventory for so long. Second, that with your principal being low, your interest rate is going to be more manageable, especially if you got your loan from a credit union instead of the dealership, right? I used to do that, and I first learned about this without sounding a little bit too racist. A lot of Indian customers will come on the last day. They'll ask for the invoice. They'll say, talk to your manager. I'll pay you $100 over invoice, and you do that, right? And I used to work for Toyota, and they're famous for doing that. And so that's one way you can do it. Second, if you cannot get a loan from a credit union, then what you want to do is you want to lease, because most people get out of a car anyway in 2 to 3 years anyway. So leasing is just going to be better, right? And nobody really drives those miles anyway. So now, transitioning over to the student loan. So I know most of you know I have an education company here in Shanghai, China, and we specialize actually getting kids into top 30 universities. So there's a couple things you want to do to kind of make sure that your cousins, your kids, or whoever preparing for college, you want to do a couple of things. First, there's a college app created by a Black guy. He created an app that you search and you'll get all the scholarships that you qualify for. You can just quick Google, because I forgot the name. You can do a quick Google search about scholarship apps, and it'll be the first one that pops up. You use that app, and then you list out your background, and it'll literally tell you every single grant, free money, whatever that you qualify for, right? Mm-hmm. Women, whatever, majors you want to study, whatever, right? And it's an app, so it's not like what we did in like '97 when we graduated, where you got to go to libraries and you got to search books and books and books. Second, you want to go to a website called Poets and Quants. And there it will tell you the estimated salary that you will get graduating from whatever university. right? And then you can plan it out by that, by
What's
how
the name of
much
that website again?
Poet and Quants, right? And it'll tell you the university that you go to and the estimated graduation rate.
Okay.
And then it will just then you can just average out, how much loan you can get versus how much your estimated earning potential will be graduating from that institution. Now, second thing I want to say, if you don't go to a top 30 university, I would seriously reconsider, because you have other options, right? You have coding programs, you got coding programs, you got programming programs. Google is starting their own university. There's so many other options as to what you can do now. And the reason why I say this is because after 2008 housing crisis, the American economy never really recovered from that. And you're looking at people who graduated right before or a little bit after. You can see, right? Most are still living at home. Very few can afford a house, right? So the American economy never really honestly recovered from the 2008 housing economy. So if you're not getting a STEM, because I mean, it's different if you graduated pre-2008. But now in 2020, right, because things always changing, right? Like when I graduated in 2001, you can literally get any degree you wanted and get a job. But now in 2022, right, things are a little bit different. So if you do not get a STEM degree or some finance or math or something like that, you really need to consider other viable options. You really need to consider, or also teaching degree or something like that. You really need to consider viable options, because and here's the biggest problem, right? You can research this. Universities typically raise their tuition every year between 3 to 7%. Sorry, they're calling me for testing, like Shanghai's lockdown. But I'll say this really quickly and I'll go. 3 to 10%, because they know that the federal government will constantly get loans. So it's like a vicious cycle that, you get your loans and then you pay for school, and then the school raise the tuition between 3 to 2% every year. And that's why it's just this vicious cycle, because universities know they'll get their money, because student loans, there's no pre-qualifier, right? There's no pre-qualifier of how likely you are to pay it back. And that's pretty much it. Sorry, guys, I got to run.
All right, no problem. Thanks for coming up. We ain't signing.
Hey, Mandrell, appreciate you having me come up, and I might jump on a segue if that's okay with you.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming up.
Yeah, appreciate
studies.
it.
I mean, you got to tell everybody about your YouTube channel.
Yeah, I make content about just trying to help, I guess, level up your life. I talk about finances, fitness, relationships, diet, exercise, mental health. I kind of talk about all the things that I can. I have a pretty good background. I'm a registered nurse. I've been in the military. I've had a whole bunch of different jobs throughout the nation. I travel a lot. So I've kind of seen a thing or two and done a thing or two. So I might have some insights I might be able to share with you. But I know he was just talking about the whole go to college thing. And I feel like for the past 20, 30, 40 years, that was the agenda that was pushed on everybody is if you don't go to college, you're not going to be successful, right?
Yep.
And to his point, if you're not going to some prestigious school that has some big name that you use for a leverage point through a relationship, basically is what that is, then you should really consider, if you're not going into STEM, then why are you going to go to college? And if you don't have a good answer for that, then the trade skill industry is a great alternative to that as well. If you're not going to do the military or something like that, I highly encourage people to look at plumbing, look at electricity, look at HVAC installation. There's a lot of trades out there that as a young man or a young woman, you can get to 6 figures pretty darn quickly getting into one of these trades. And a lot of them have paid apprenticeships where you can go, you get a skill set, they pay you to learn, and then you come out and you work for another person or a company for a handful of years. And before, 5-10 years, you might have your own business. You might be you're a plumber that's working independently and making 6 figures and run your own schedule. And you can do really well. I've had a lot of friends that have done really well going the not gone to college route. So that's just some feedback I had to offer for the team here.
Yeah, I agree, because you're right. Those trades, people look at trade schools, trades and laugh at them. But I'm like, you have any idea, like you said, about 10 years, Have you idea how much one of these guys are making? They start their own plumbing companies or electrical company or whatever the case may be, and these guys are paid.
And especially now, you can't even get an electrician for like 6 months. If you're going to build a new home right now, good luck finding a plumber. Good luck finding an electrician. Good luck finding a carpenter. Like such high demand, they can name their prices, and their workbook, it's filled up for a year. I mean, it's insanity in a good way for them.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, my best friend is a plumber, and he went from his father owned their plumbing company, so it was a skill that was passed down. His father owned the plumbing company, then he sold it, retired to Texas, and then he ended up getting a job with New York City, like building and housing and stuff like that. And now he's like a supervisor. He's doing very, very well, and he still does jobs on the side. Plumbing is absolutely a great career.
That, and talking about passing knowledge down to your children, that was the other point I kind of wanted to talk about with the group here is if you're a parent or you have younger brothers or sisters or cousins or whomever, start talking about finances early on in life, because what's the best way to get out of debt is to never get in debt in the first place. Because you just dig this hole, and it seems like the answer is to go borrow more money to try to get yourself out of your soul, and they're just handing you a shovel to dig your hole deeper, right? So if you start talking about financial literacy and education and how to invest and how to save and how to wait on buying things that you don't really need until you actually have the money to pay for them, these are lessons that we need to try to pass along to the young folks coming up, because the best way to not get it, to prevent debt, is to not get into it in the first place. Yeah,
that's true, but a lot of people are going to say, no, but what do you say about this? You don't understand. It's easier said than done, man. You know, it's hard out here, man. You see, you're doing good, so you can't look down on people like us.
You got to pick your hard, though, right? You got to pick your hard. It's hard to not buy the thing you want to buy right away, right? So if you could, that's hard too. You got to pick your hard.
That's true.
Yeah.
Wes, you got something for us, man?
Wonder how Ginny found my YouTube channel. I don't do that anymore.
Listen, I'm
Detective Ginny.
I'm gonna tell you about
Wow,
Ginny.
I'm impressed.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you about Ginny Moreno. Okay, don't mess. Hey, listen. That is
Canadian boy dropped a mega fact right there in the bottom.
What about going to trade school for IT instead of the college? Yeah, you know what? People look down on trade schools, Canadian born Nigerian, because they see them as less valuable. You don't spend that much time there. But to me, when I got to college, I thought everyone, in high school, everyone tells you, oh, college is hard. It's going to be hard. If you're not doing this well in high school, you're going to have real problems when you get to college. I get to college. Guess what I discovered? This is just school.
Can I add a point? Can I add a point to that?
By all means, Marcus, I was coming to you next.
Yeah. So I remember the college admissions scandal and how people were saying, hey, the exposure of people that couldn't get to these so-called better schools. But when these kids that transferred from regular state colleges to the Ivy Leagues and these big top dog leagues, they noticed that there was no difference in the curriculum. It was actually the same. So the hardest part was just getting in. And it's kind of like a patent laminated certificate instead of the regular one you get at a state college. So I realized that, and I was like, wow, like that money that people are going to be in debt for going to an Ivy League school is going to be ridiculously high.
Yeah, but we ain't signing. He went to an Ivy League school. I think he went to two of them.
Oh, yeah, he's smart.
The guy who was up on the platform earlier, guys. Yeah, he went to two Ivy League schools, man. And he was saying that he consistently says college is for networking. Yeah, networking. Mm-hmm. He consistently says that all the time, and I believe him. Like when you go to these Ivy League colleges, man, I mean, these are people who go on to be state senators, mayors, governors, presidents, And another thing, they're all lawyers. All these politicians, they're all lawyers. I mean, it's supposed to be a representation of our society, right? Well, then where are the teachers? I want to know where the scientists. I want to know where are the plumbers, where are the electricians, where are all these other professions? If you're supposed to be a representation of us, you're all lawyers.
My favorite Canadian for 20 years, I did that.
We need to find a plumber, prop him up, and elect him.
Yeah, we do. Believe it or not, it's not Joe the plumber though. Not that guy.
At least some guy that knows how to lay some pipe.
What's wrong with the plumber?
Right, Joe the plumber? Not that guy.
He's making 6 figures though.
Yeah, he's not even a plumber. Joe the plumber. Remember that?
Agree to disagree.
Sarah Palin. Y'all remember that when Sarah Palin was talking to Joe? Yeah, we have Joe the plumber, and stop. Come to find out, the guy doesn't own his own business. He's barely a plumber. I mean, crazy shit. Oh, sorry. Now let's introduce the Nigerians, the stripper from Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, be careful.
Big sexy.
Big sexy. His spear is big. Okay. All right. Mr. Struggle Pecs himself, the Canadian born Nigerian. Black
Man. What is good to my brother from another mother?
Oh, God.
B.O.B. Big oil, baby.
Let's go. Peck pop of love. Let's go, man.
I don't think they're never going to end with you guys.
Hey, while you sell that illegal oil from Nigeria, I'm good.
Yeah, I couldn't help it, man. Sorry.
Wes, see what I'm going through with your people?
I consider you to be my favorite Canadian.
Yeah, actually, yeah, my favorite Canadian. The Canadian with the thickest African accent. Listen to this.
It is all good. How you guys doing?
All right.
Good,
how's
man.
it going with you? And how's the Yoba tribe?
It's doing good. I wouldn't go to cam up because I was enjoying what I was listening to because y'all were dropping way too much jam all across the board because I am a person who went to college. I went to community college.
Mhm.
I didn't have support behind me, and I dropped out of college to go to trade school. And I realized a lot of people look down on trade school, but don't realize trade school is the great alternative to college. I went to trade school for IT, and there's a lot of trade school out there, and it's busting out more than ever. But the problem is finding the right trade school that will actually train you properly. That's where the problem comes to play. And when I'm saying that, I know everybody know what the thing called Job Corps.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Job Corps is one of the biggest trade school out there today in the country. Got multiple locations. The one I went to was in Morganfield, Kentucky, known as Earl C. Clement Job Corps Center. Now they have specialized program whereby those into auto mechanic. The UAW union created a big program for them whereby if you go to the program under 3 years, you get hired automatically in the car manufacturing shop, whereby you making straight close to 6 figures starting off. But you gotta be in that program for 3 years straight. They talk about the Mercedes Benz manufacturing plant, which ironically is who I'm working for in IT. Um, they have plumbing, they got Freemason, they have computers, which is IT. They have repair computer technician title there, but there was other job call center that had different sponsors, different program. The one in Delaware had a connection with Oracle, where they had a special program as well. Every job corps is not the same. Now, for non-governmental run trade school, you have to do your homework on them first. I will recommend every parents make sure you build a support system behind the person in your family going to trade school. They're going to need it. Do you know what I'm saying that? Because trade school is not like college. It'll be a little bit more intensive. They're teaching both the theory and more on the hands-on. A lot more on the hands-on than the theory because it's more practical. Now, for people I know who left Job Corps, make a whole lot of money with the skill they learned from, they did. Some walk away from this trade, did something else. That was their choice. But for those who took the program seriously, they keep on excelling. They never stop. Now, what you guys was saying totally true. When it comes to trade school, you don't accumulate a lot of debt, to be honest with you. You ain't taking on no student loans, to be honest. People going to college taking out what 10,000, 20,000, 40, 50, 100,000.
They'll fail a class and just brush it off. Like, oh, I get more student loans coming in.
Yeah, but
Right.
it depends on the job you get.
No, he's someone they'll get on those, get on
Now,
all that debt.
I want
and
to
then,
answer her question. Yes, Job Corps was for children who drop out of high school, whereby it was either the second or the last choices. But I'm saying that there were some people who got in trouble with the law, and they were given a last chance option, whereby either you go to Job Corps, get a trade, get an education, come back out, and you forget what you have done. So it became that way. Now, for people like me who was in that 20, it was an escape because trade school was like what $8,000, $10,000, $15,000 to get into a vacation. Because let's be honest for you guys, the IT route in trade school is not as cheap as people think it is, but it's cheaper than college to a certain degree. But you need to pay for the certification. Certain trade school give you a discount. I'll be honest with you on that one.
you're talking about. I think it's important to tell people the certifications you're talking about. Me, I
Security
recommend
Plus,
you
Net
get
Plus.
Security
No,
Plus.
no.
Net
Let me
Plus,
explain all the certification you get multi discount from. A plus certification, Network Plus certification, the Microsoft certification. Some other trade school give you discount on the beginner of going to Cisco certification. It's very based from different trade schools that have certain connection with the company that is sponsoring them to kind of like channel them through. The most popular trade school out there, I'm sure everybody heard of Post Scholar. That you know the Post Scholar? Okay, Post Scholar is a somewhat a sneaky undercover trade school, but it had multiple connection with big company, especially like staffing agency or infrastructure company. Infosys have a program with them right now where they're looking for people for cybersecurity, application support technician, and many others. Now, Post Scholar is like one of the best choice out here in New York City. I'm in Brooklyn, New York, so I know about New York City. Like dudes were talking about MTA. I used to work with MTA for 2 years, so I know that too as well. Post Scholar is one of the longest running programs I know out in New York City for the past maybe 10 to 15 years that people going through a transition. Mostly they invested more in IT because they knew IT would be in an expansion boom, which it is right now today. So per scholar now is mostly within the eastern region of the country, and it's spreading out toward to the Midwest as well to the central. Now you have to go online for that and look up the program that had available based on the location you're in. Some program are remote, some program had to be on site. Now I vouch for them because they really have been consistent with what they've been doing for the year and they've been successful. As long as you take the classes seriously. Now, what I did know that within the Board of Education within New York City, they kind of like took that trend and trying to slowly bring it back into the school right now. Certain high schools, certain middle school, not all. When I say certain, it's like a small number. They have on mechanic classes. They have PT repair classes. They're having network classes. They're having web design classes. Not a lot, but certain schools based on the negotiation they're doing that. So it's kind of like
Are
the
you
competition.
specifically are you specifically talking about like schools in New York,
New
like
York
Brooklyn?
City, I used to work for the Board of Ed and Delta. I was able to see almost 300 plus schools within New York City, within the fireball. That's how I knew about it.
Hmm.
It's not that many, but not many parents know about it as well.
Gotcha.
This is why I advocate for parents do your homework on what school or trade school that you will put your child into. Understand the dynamic, understand the curriculum, because the reason why I'm saying this, all schools are not made the same, or trade schools are not made the same. I am a big advocate for trade school because it's safe on your pocket, depending on which trade school you're going to. Some trade school, they're not going to ask too much from you. They want to have certain requirement to make sure you fall within the governmental guideline within that city or state, depending how they operate.
Well, David, I got a question for you and everybody on the panel. Lou Casey, the brilliant moderator that she is, she brings up a very good one. as usual, I mean, she says she knows a
dude,
couple of people that use their student loan money to buy new cars.
That right there.
Gotta get to college.
That right there. I do know it does happen. I'm not gonna mention name who done it, but here where the problem comes.
I know a couple people who.
And then they get a payday loan to put the gas in it, right?
Right.
Let's just finish it off.
I know a couple people.
Off on that one. I appreciate you, Mandrell. I appreciate you hosting this. This is a great discussion. More discussions like this need to happen because how do we get people out of debt? We keep them from getting in debt in the first place, and this kind of education will help.
This right there,
absolutely.
It's better for anybody. I'm still paying up my student loan right now as we speak. And the reason I have student loan because I went to two different unique trade schools. One was okay, which is in downtown Brooklyn. They changed their name from Computer Career Center to Career Institute of Medical and Technology. That was one. I paid that one off. The second one is the one with the for-profit school, aka ITT Tech.
There you go.
I was gonna say that.
I don't know if you how soon you got here, but when I was talking about for-profit schools, ITT Tech was one of them.
One.
And they went out of business. Yep.
Right. It was what. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like my show, I want to.
There was another one.
You know why they went out of business?
Why?
There's another one beside that if you be between Philadelphia and New Jersey, they combined together with two different schools. I forgot what the name that they changed the name 2 or 3 times before it went out of business as well. So when you mention for-profit school, I'm one of the guys who was doing his homework, looking at which school be best for me. And ITT Tech at one point was good to a degree. Let me explain why.
You mean like back in the 80s?
Let me explain why. It's not 80, but let me explain why I say that. Before Verizon have their thing called Verizon Fios, they were doing the cable splicing job. Students from ITT Tech were getting first dib first to get in.
Mm-hmm.
And those who were able to get in were well off for a long period of time because the cable splicing job for the Verizon fiber optic cable lasted for more than a couple of years. So it's kind of like
that was the big thing to get into that whole thing.
And
that was the advantage.
ITT Tech was the gateway for that. Everyone who was to ITT Tech was getting first dib first before anybody on the outside to get into that particular project. So a lot of students got into that one. They made their money. They were able to pay whatever loan, whatever they had. They didn't have no debt, and they were racking up because Verizon was one of the hardest companies to get in.
Yeah, because if you get into, I can tell you this: if you got into fiber optics, especially when it first came, even today, you know what I'm saying, you got no problems paying off student loans or whatever. Especially went to a 2-year university and got certifications and all that. That's big money.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, did you say you had to hop out, Primal?
Yeah. I just wanted to let you all finish that thought because it was a good one, but I appreciate you all.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, that's my show I try to do. I'm trying to, like, especially with this one, warn people about certain things and then help come up with solutions.
Yeah,
come back, Primal. Come back.
Yeah, please come back.
Great conversation. Yeah, we'll be back. All right, we'll catch you all later. Thanks so much.
Later.
Why those schools went out of business?
Why do those schools go out of business?
No, let me explain to you why.
Hold on. Let's hear West, and then we go to Canadian.
I want to hear West.
Because the government caught on. The government didn't care that they were scams. The government got mad that the people that went to those schools were far less likely to pay off their loans.
And they weren't getting their money.
So the government was not getting paid back on their loans. So that's why they investigated the schools. And that's why they said, you guys can't do this anymore.
Talk about FBI auditing them.
Yeah, once you steal government money, because a lot of people was coming out of the military and going into those programs like that. And when you take that GI Bill money and like you take the FAFSA money, you take that those Pell Grants, you take the government's money. Huh?
The bog waiver.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. You take that. Once you mess with their money, they are coming for you. They were taking people's money and then they were like purposely like failing people, right? Like they were taking people's money and they were doing these things to fail people and keep them coming back to the school and just taking more of the government's money. So people ended up paying. You're only supposed to spend like $20,000, but people were spending like $80,000 because they were spending 3 and 4 times.
That's right. They were maxing out the GI Bill.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's listen. Sam ain't finna play about his money. Like there's one organization I would never bother. I would never screw over or play games with. That's the IRS. Ever.
I still think
I'll never screw with the IRS.
I still think
organizations, man, leave them alone. Pay them the money, and be done with it.
And I would say they do what's correct about that. But another thing that was going on with this, now there were people who had to commute or travel across state to go to those schools, and they had to have certain living arrangement. There's another trade school just like that, similar with more towards to the auto mechanic. They decided to create a joint venture whereby they link up with different apartment complex and allow students to get with a discount price to move in so they'll be closer to the school. Actually, the tech was not close to a lot of places. So either you go to the one in Kingsport, Pennsylvania, or Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, where those two locations I know about. The location they have in New York was upstate. Devoured in the city.
They had a location in Queens, I believe, over by Queens Center Mall. ITT Tech.
I didn't know about that part, but like you know what I'm talking about. Certain locations in school, and what made it often people had to relocate just to be in the proximity of those schools for the sake of that. So there were a lot of shenanigans that went along the way. Now me, I had to bail out because my living arrangement in Philadelphia was not doing too well. I had to commute from Philadelphia all the way to Kingsport, Pennsylvania. I leave my house like around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning just to get to class before 9. Then they helped me get a job in Best Buy in Kingsport Mall. So when I'm done with class, I take one bus, 2 or 3 stops, and get right to the mall. By the time I'm done with working, by the time I get home, imagine that I left my house at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning just to take classes. Then from class to work, and by the time I'm done with work, I'm back home like 2 o'clock in the morning. Lucky for me, class was 3 days a week. So 2 o'clock in the morning, there's nowhere I'm coming back again the next day to school, waking up 5 o'clock. So I had a break that could let my body rest, but I still had to go to work. So that's from Philadelphia. You gotta take the blue line, get up at the I think it was second to the last stop or last stop, and take the express line, which costs money. Get out at a certain stop, take a bus that will go past Kingsport to Pennsylvania Mall before it take you through the campus, inside the campus of ITT Tech.
Yep,
I
ITT
still, I
Tech
still,
is one
I
of the
still remember
scams
as like
too. One of the
yesterday. 'Cause
scams too.
There are a lot of things I remember. I don't forget them because it was impactful in my life for a specific reason.
If
So I
you
know how much.
so to avoid that, right? Don't go to any school whose commercial looks like an infomercial that comes on at 3 o'clock in the morning. Because if you notice, all of the way the advertisements used to be is very like it used to look like a scam. It used to come on like right after the like, oh, if your child ever ate lead paint, you may be entitled to large cash rewards. And then like the rock commercial will come on, and then like ICC
What you
Tech
doing?
commercial
You
will come
sitting
on.
on the couch, ain't doing nothing. Get up and go to school. Come to
Yeah,
Oh
the
God,
Grind
those
University.
commercials.
You can get you a degree and get you a good job, and you'll be all right. Look at what's sitting
yeah.
there thinking.
Dude,
I was
they
What are you thinking
listen.
about?
They had Little Romeo
What are
doing
you
those
thinking
kind of
about?
commercials.
No,
Right.
They
What
had,
are you
no,
thinking
hold on,
about?
hold on,
You
hold
ain't
on,
thinking
hold
about
on. Time
nothing.
out,
Get up
time
and go
out,
to
time out.
school.
Little Romeo owned it a little bit different. That's the collaboration with him and his father at one particular school in this region. They were trying to make sure it doesn't repeat what ITT Tech was doing and Divide was doing. Divide ITT Tech was heavy on the airway at night. Do what's correct. You see them between 10 p.m., not 3 a.m. In New York City, mostly 10 p.m. all the way to 3 a.m. Their rotation was ridiculous.
I have an answer for Luke Casey's question. Luke Casey asks, you have to question how much these schools are paying for those TV commercials. Well, Luke Casey, I love that you ask. Okay, you take 100% of these schools' budgets, right? These schools were spending 25% of their budget on advertisement and marketing. They would spend 10% of their budget on faculty and staff. So the staff was getting paid less than half of their advertising budget. Less than half. Yeah, that's how much they spent on commercials.
That's how a good scam works. All they want to do is keep pulling you back in, and they're going to keep reinvesting on the marketing to just pull people in because that's the only thing they have. They don't have thousands of people going out, graduating, going out and say, "Hey, I graduated from ITT Tech. That's where you want to go."
I'm glad you point that out, because when I look at the infomercial and they only pick a certain small amount of people who kind of like claw through to the top, and don't want to do the advertisement, but it's not that many people, because some of the faith you could tell is just being recycled.
Yeah. Miss Creative says, I told my mom I wanted to go to that school after seeing the commercial, and she gave me a hard side eye. I bet she did.
Miss Creative, your mom saved your behind.
Yeah.
I'm still this is a personal confession. I'm still paying off the student loans. No,
right. Because these for-profit schools, again, I'm reading here from my notes. These for-profit schools account for only about a third. Account for only about 13% of the total student population. They only account for 13%, but they have 1/3. They hold 1/3 of all student loan debt in the country. That's, I mean, come on, man.
They helped them out a little bit more before she got caught.
Who?
Who was the school secretary under the idiot Trump?
Nancy DeVos or something like that.
Yeah, that chick who didn't know anything about school. She had her kids homeschooling. She felt like that made her qualified. Now,
yeah, she was the one, but she had invested in like charter schools and stuff like that. Like, because
there you go. That charter schools.
She invested in charter school only for her own region. Any region that not within her liking, she was not supportive of it. And when she came to New York City, let's just say that was the worst place to come first.
Right. And these keep in mind, people, these for-profit schools are 6 times the cost of community college and twice the price of a four-year university. They say, okay, New Growth says it's major colleges now. I think USC is caught up in these master's programs. They was charging $100,000.
Let me tell you something about
internet classes.
And I don't live that far from USC either.
Let me tell you something.
Get out of California over there.
Colleges have been doing this since early 2000. What I didn't catch on, what I admit, I'm sure you guys didn't notice this. Around between 1998 to 2000, there was a boom of exchange student program going to the college, where people can choose to take courses overseas, while some come over here. Now, what I didn't realize when I was going to BMCC, which had another nickname at that time, that'd be a whole different story. A lot of people were leaving the country to go to university out the country. And what they found out, the cost of the education over there was slightly cheaper or much cheaper than over here. They decided not to come back. Early 2000, there was a fluctuation of people who were just walking out, left the country, went over there to study. They got the degree over there, and they ended up staying there. When they decided to come back, it was their choice, but most of them decided to burn their passport. I thought it was a rumor, not realized it's actually true. It's just that not only they went out there, they found out the education was better, the living standard was far better than the United States, which was a shocker to them.
Yeah, I got a couple of friends that went to medical school out overseas, and then came back over and did just fine. I know most people did it for graduate school. I don't know anybody that really did it for went to another country for undergrad, unless they were doing like a internship kind of thing or externship or study abroad type program.
And I met a lot of people who they came back to the country and said they born raised here. I met one guy, he's from Texas. She got a house in Iceland.
Wow.
Big black brother. Looked like he played football, which he did. I was like, say that again, you have a house in where again? Yeah, I got a house in Iceland. I was like, yeah, that's a look out of my face. I was like, first and foremost, you live the hot ass Texas with one of the hottest temperatures through the summer. To the total opposite, based on the name of the country, Iceland. I was like,
no. So Iceland, so people get twisted, right? It's like the Scandinavian countries or whatever. So everybody thinks that Iceland is cold and Greenland is green.
Nope.
It's the opposite. Iceland is green and Greenland is cold as hell. Greenland is
Yeah,
like
it
the
is.
North Pole.
Polar
Yeah,
opposites.
but at that time, that was what I was thinking. That what I
Right.
was saying out of my mouth. So I was like, "You said no, the weather was nice. The weather not like you sure." So what's wrong with Texas? He said, "Well, I kind of grew out of it." I'm like, okay, but
Well,
I
listen,
didn't know.
I'm in Europe. I'm in Europe right now, so it's very leisurely here, and I'm about to go to Sweden. It's April already. Yeah, I'm going to Sweden next month. I got a friend of mine who's doing his masters in Sweden, so I'm going to visit him and go hang out with him for a bit.
Well, are
And
you
this
in
I love,
Germany right now, dude?
yeah, yeah,
and
Have you? Are you good? Are you fluent in the language since you've been there?
a little bit. This is
Okay.
my second time here, so I already knew some.
Okay.
and then hit a funny question. I'm gonna ask you: are you being chased by the German ladies over there? See,
We'll talk offline.
see. I know. I see the smile on your face said it all. I already know what it is.
It's catch 22 there. I'm gonna talk to you about it offline, backstage.
So I already know that. But the thing is, Germany is one of the places I say I like to go for technology. Germany,
Well,
Japan, and what country? South Korea, because Germany is considered the best in the auto industry by far.
I take auto, aeronautical, logistics, at least in Europe, because Germany is centrally located. So all logistics in all of Europe has to go through Germany.
yeah. Well, the thing, and you see, Germany is a big hub over there in the UK because now that Great Britain has broken away from the European Union, um, all of the economy now in Europe, in the EU, and in the European Union,
EU.
it sits on the shoulders of Germany. And the concern about the EU is Germany strong enough to really, you know what I'm saying, be the backbone over there. You know what I'm saying? That's the big concern is now. But
Yeah, but
Germany has always been one of the big hubs when it comes to Europe. And
yeah,
that's where a lot of people go for like medical school and stuff like that because they
that's
can't
one
afford it
thing.
here, but they go over there and you know, as long as you qualify for the curriculum, they'll accept you. You can go there. You don't have you come back to stateside. You don't have any debt.
But think about it, they have one of the two best auto industry company that consider high class, Audi and Mercedes Benz.
BMW.
BMW is another thing, but BMW like mid class, but it's always been good globally.
Well, all of their engineering, that's why they said they did the term German engineering. Like, let's be serious. BMW, because if you look at BMW and you look at Mercedes, right? If you look at their symbols, they were aeronautical companies first. Both of the symbols look like propellers, don't they? If you can build a world-class airplane, you can build a world-class car. And
Well,
that's why
yeah,
their cars are so good.
that's true. Like their engineering for the automobiles is ridiculous. It is
The
ridiculous,
engineering,
man.
they were very efficient.
Yeah,
Like,
but
they're very,
Japanese cars are
Yeah.
better though, aren't they?
Well, yeah, Toyota is good. Now here's the thing.
Toyota, Nissan, Acura, Honda.
Here's another fun.
first of
fun
all, it's
fact.
all the same car. It just has a different body.
Right.
It's all literally the same car. It's just
Right.
different bodies. The
Yeah,
same
but the
engine,
point
everything.
still is that Japan overall is the better one though, because it's the more consistent one.
No, they're not better. They're not better. This is what it is. It's like what are you looking for, right? So when it comes to Japanese cars are cheaper. They're cheaper and they're more mass produced. Whereas, like they say, God is in the details, right? So look at the fine details in Mercedes Benz and BMWs and Audis and stuff like that. Like, look how streamlined it is. Look how perfectly the door sits on the frame. Look how, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the stuff, and their engines are the same way. Whereas Japanese it's like cheap. It's like everything's like snapped together, right? It's made to be convenient, not efficient. Now, fuel efficiency and stuff like that, yes, because it's usually a lighter car and stuff like that. So you got to. It's a give and take.
I
I
don't
mean,
know,
think
man.
about it.
Because from my experience, all these cars that I just named, the Asian Japanese cars, like you said, are the most to me they've seen the most durable, more efficient. But the German cars I see, they're always in the shops because my brothers are grease monkeys. They're in the automotive, like, engineering and all that kind of stuff, and they always see those German cars go in there all the time in America, at
Hear
least.
my
The
thing.
German car is a finely tuned machine. If you, I have a BMW, right? If you take care of it, which is just doing your regular maintenance and doing it the right way, not trying to do your oil yourself, not trying to mess, because there's a lot of automated stuff in there. You know what I'm saying? Electronics and stuff that goes into all that. So you kind of have to go to an authorized BMW dealership to get it done. But if you do it the right way, that car would damn near last forever.
Now, Audi, I give them prop for because they had a particular line whereby you got to be of a certain age to work on that particular line. You got to be 40 and up, and you got to have a whole lot of spend. The particular high level line of Audi was done hands on, and they take perfection at a serious note, which I gotta get them prop for that because, like this guy said, Dude was saying, their engineering skill level is top notch. It's one of the kind. So you can argue that they don't have great technology and great innovation behind that. But as you see competition between German technology to Japanese technology, like he said, efficiency to what the guy was saying earlier, I would say I'll pick German technology overall because they say you get a well-tuned German car, it lasts you almost 20 years. You don't have to
Yeah.
buy another car.
The thing is the thing is also Toyotas do the same thing. And
Wait,
incidentally,
yeah.
fun fact, Toyota, people think China owns most of our debt. They're wrong. It's actually Japan.
How is that?
So I want to, if I can hop in a little bit.
Actually Japan. Believe it or not. Go ahead, we ain't signing.
Yeah, so I just want to hop in talking about before about the Ivy League curriculum is the same as the others. Yes and no. It depends on what that school kind of focuses on. So for example, I went to Wharton, and that business education is totally different from somewhere else. But I'm saying that to say this. One of the ways that, especially for us who want to go back to grad school and looking for further education, one thing that we're not taught that we need to look at where the job market is going. So you have to kind of estimate your way out. So if you're going to graduate a year from now, you kind of have to prognosticate where is the job market going to be a year from now. Or if you go to a 4-year degree as an undergraduate, where is the job market going to be 4 years from now? Because when we look at graduates, only 20% of graduates have a degree and work what their degree is in. Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, you just got some noise in the background.
That's not me. I think that's Canadian born. So the point, I mean, they're out here yelling because everybody's in hazmat suits. I sent Mandrell the picture. Like it is crazy here right now. So, but yeah, you just want to kind of plan out where the job market is going to be. And when you do that, you're going to minimize your debt because you're going to get a good paying job, right? That very few people are qualified because it's going to be a new job in the market. You're able to pay back your student loan debt, right? And again, if you live within your means during that 4 years, then you're going to be in a position where you can get a home, where you can get a car within the next 3 to 5 years, right? I think the most important thing is living within your means. Right? Just living within your means. If you want to get more, you need to make more, right? It's about cash flow, basic cash flow, right? So if you can manage your debt, you can manage your debt to cash income ratios, you'll be good, right? And so just if you do these basic things, just, planning out where the job market is going to be, you're going to be in a pretty good position. And check out those websites like Poets and Quants, and you'll be all right.
Okay. Anybody got anything for that?
What he said is absolutely correct. Because every career field that I wanted to go into, as I've always known, is always going to be like needed in society. You know what I'm saying? But like, if you want to be like, you're not going to make any money. Like, okay, another thing, right? With degrees, it doesn't matter what you get your degree. Let's be honest. College, a 4-year bachelor's degree is 40 classes. It's 40 classes. Everybody takes the same 20. Everybody takes 10 electives. So your major is only 10 classes, right? You're not certified in anything. Your major is only 10 classes. So you didn't go 4 years for one subject, right? You didn't spend 4 years doing a psychology degree. You didn't do 4 years doing a sociology degree. You didn't do 4 years getting any degree. You spent one. You really spend one. All the subject matter that makes up your major is only 1 year of study.
That's a good point.
Well, I mean, I kind of agree to that. I kind of agree with that because if we look at degrees versus certification, like so, say for example, it's better to get so for example, Cornell University does this online project management certification, right? So we know that certification degrees pay more than diplomas. So yes, in essence, yeah, you can do that, but there is a thing of quality of education and reputation. That's why I say top 30 school, because if you go to a top 30 school, it has a good reputation, it has a strong alumni network, and when you're applying for jobs, right, you can normally reach out to an alumni to get that, right? And that's why I constantly say, school is for networking, and school is putting yourself in a position where when you graduate, you can reach out. Like for example, when I came to Shanghai, China, I was a part of the Wharton network. So before I came, I just reached out to the alumni and they put me in contact with people who are already out here. So I already had a base or group of people I can rely on when I'm first coming out here, right? So, the alumni network and things like that are very strong. And that's another thing you need to look at when you're going, like for when you're getting your master's or whatever kind of postgraduate degree. You want to look at the salary, you want to look at the network and alumni, because that's what we're doing. Especially like I grew up from a single mother, right? So the whole point of going to college was to get me out of my socioeconomic situation, right? To put me in a higher economic class. So in order to do that, we have to make the right decisions. Is that school going to do that for you? Because not all schools can do that. And that's why, top 30 schools are going to be better for you because number one, they have school pride. Number two, they have a strong alumni network. And number three, they're in very good prominent positions. And I mentioned, you guys heard about before about how all these wealthy people pay to get their kids in here. Yes, but what they did it wrong. Like, for example, I donate money consistently every year to both my universities because I want to make sure that my child gets into those universities, right? And that's the thing. The second part we're missing is that college is a parent's responsibility. It's not the child's, right? They didn't ask to be born. And you have 18 years to prepare for it. So, like, damn, right? It is the parents. I'm firmly believe this. It is the parent, and maybe because I've just been in China too long, but it's firmly the parents' responsibility to make sure that their kids can go and get into college without coming out of debt, right? You have 18 years to save.
Right. Yeah, and that's setting aside, like, if you get income taxes every year, that's setting aside like $1,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? And you can offset a lot of like the cost.
You take $1,000, you buy some Amazon stock and let it sit for 18 years. You have enough money.
Also too with networking and stuff like that. So I went to a regular 4-year university, but I joined a college fraternity. So that network within my fraternity, any place that I've gone since I've joined the fraternity, I always reach out to the brothers in my fraternity, and these are all very prominent brothers in the area and in their career fields and stuff like that. So you can also use that network. So you can network within your profession, you can network within your college, you can network within any fraternal organizations you're a part of.
Right. You got to do that. You got to do that. You got to do even when you're starting business. Like the thing about it is, like, for people, I don't know your background, but people such as myself that come from, poverty, we were on public assistance, welfare, and things like that. What they don't tell you is that network is the key to success, because even when we look at the market, 90% of jobs are filled by referrals, right? I know Mandrell, so let me hook him up. Yo, Mandrell, I got this job. Are you interested, or know someone that's interested? You're like, I'm not interested, but I have a friend. Boom, done. Right? 90% of the job market is filled by referrals.
No, that's true. Now, I want to get your perspective on Miss Creative's comment here. It says, it's a parent's responsibility. However, let's be real. Most parents ain't able to do that.
See, I disagree. I disagree because
she wrote aren't. You said ain't. Right? She definitely wrote aren't.
I'm messing with her. I mean, she must have come like that before. She said ain't, and I said, really? Ain't?
There's no way in a span of 18 years you're not able to do that. There's no way.
A lot of parents are still paying off their own student loan debt these days.
Okay, so if you specific to like our community and stuff like that, a lot of these kids are still first generation college students. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people are still like, and that's what the comment that I made before, where a lot of people make this mistake is because I'm not the first, like the next generation of my family are going to do very well because now you have like everybody in my generation are all college graduates, like all my cousins. So it's about 13 of us that are all college graduates, graduate level, law school, and everything. So when our kids are ready to go to school, like that next generation, they can reach out to us and say, hey, how do I navigate this? How do I navigate that? And stuff like that. A lot of us didn't have that when we went to school. So we were kind of like flying by the seat of our pants. And that's really
No, I just want to say this. So let's say because she says the parents' responsibility, but they aren't able to do that. But you gave a story how you were a manager at Taco Bell and you were able to pay off your student loans, right? Correct? Am I right?
No, I never had student loans because I knew I didn't want student loans. Okay. So I paid.
Then I misheard you.
Yeah, he paid. Okay, he paid out of pocket by being a manager at Taco Bell. Okay,
so let's say you're a manager at Taco Bell for 18 years. Now you're telling me as a manager at a Taco Bell for 18 years. So let's say I worked Taco Bell 8 years, and then on the 8th year I became a manager, and then 10 years for the next 10 years I'm the manager. You can pay for school. You can pay for your child's college because you're putting away for 10 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like
on the Taco Bell salary. On the Taco Bell salary.
Well, I was a shift manager, and then I got promoted to assistant manager. So once I made a salary, but I got promoted quickly, but once I made a salary, I was able to kind of maneuver a little bit better. But I kept that job because of the flexibility with that job, because I knew I can work like nights and weekends, and I can only work a couple of days during the week while I was in school.
But the point is, I think that we in our community watch too much TV, and we think that we need this exorbitant amount of money to get stuff done, right? Like for example, you live overseas too, right? To come overseas, $2,000-$3,000 is enough, right? America is much more expensive than going abroad, right? Like Absolutely. We always think we need these exorbitant amount of money to do these things, and you don't need to go into debt either, right? It's just that we're hyper consumers in America. We're hyper consumers, but you go around the rest of the world, it's just not like that, right? People live with,
and there are certain jobs that like offer a lot of like these like great like beneficial benefits for college. Like Starbucks is one of them, and Chipotle is another, among other ones that you guys can probably name. And they offer all these assistance, these programs to enroll in.
Yes, absolutely. So definitely, when you're looking at job, look at your benefits package. Like look what your if they have the 401k program, look at what they're matching for their matching. Look at their health insurance. Look at stuff like that, right? There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. But the thing about like look at this platform. This is gonna comment on what Ms. Creative was saying about parents not doing that. My mom always says, when you know better, you do better. You could definitely see a difference in the way that her parenting style was with my brother and I growing up. And then now I have a younger sister. And so now, because now she knows all these things, and then my sister's able to use my brother or her brothers, because she has my stepbrothers as well, who are also college graduates. She has a network within her family to reach out to, and she's doing very, very well. And, but our parents can only, equip us with what they have. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what you don't know. But I don't think there's any excuse anymore because the information is readily available, right? Like we have YouTube, we got cell phones. We could Google any piece of information that we want. You can ask Google a question and come up with a plethora of information. And I came from a similar background as you, Signing. So, you know what I'm saying? Like there's no excuse. The information is out there now and it's readily accessible. This isn't 20, 30 years ago when everybody didn't have a computer and everybody didn't have the internet at their fingertips.
Yeah, that's right. And sir, I heard you're abroad. You're also abroad, right? What country are you in?
I'm in Germany.
Oh, that's nice, man. Germany is beautiful.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, and they got some good German colognes. Don't ask me how I know that, but they have some nice German local colognes. They're nice.
Yeah, no, I like Germany a lot. I like the food. I like the beer.
So we ain't signing. I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
Sure.
So you currently putting money away for your children's college?
Yes, I put money away for my children's college, and I donate to the university. So when they apply, I've donated this much. So,
and you currently have children or are married?
I'm married. I don't have children yet. Next year, I'm recently married. I've only been married for a couple months. So next year we're planning to have children.
So how long you been paying money to donating money to your college?
10 years, something like that.
Okay, so you've been waiting a while to have kids then.
Well, I mean, okay.
You've had a lot more setup time than what a lot of the people you're talking to have not had this much setup time. A lot of people, they've had kids before they figure themselves out first.
You should plan before you have kids, right?
Yes, and everybody kind of agrees with that, but they agree with that because they've experienced that the hard way.
Well, I grew up that way, right? I grew up the hard way, and I'm like, I don't want my kids to go through this shit, right? I grew up in North Philadelphia, right?
Hey.
Right? I have friends that used to sell drugs. I've never sold drugs in my life, but I got shot because I'm friends with a drug dealer. I got shot in the leg. I grew up that life.
Was it because you slapped somebody?
Shout out to Will Smith.
I mean, you guys from Philly, man. I heard y'all walk around slapping people all the time.
And we're a sensitive group of people. I will say that people from Philadelphia are quite sensitive. So
yeah, I will say this too.
Slapped all the time.
I'll say this too because I'm glad what you guys said earlier. Somebody said it earlier, but being a first generation to graduate from high school and then go to college and then go to the military and stuff, I had that kind of weight and responsibility on my shoulders to do that. My parents, they coming from Mexico. My mother coming from Baja. My dad coming from Michoacan, which is like the second most dangerous state in Mexico because of the narco trafficking and stuff. And then moving on here, and then me being born, and then moving up to Northern California, then moving down to Southern California, and knowing what the status of what's going on between border cities and border states. It made me realize, like it is true what you guys are saying, because like you can be that difference maker. You can be that difference maker as long as you put your mind to it and you stay out of trouble.
Right. Because I mean, the one thing I want to say is that I think it's a little bit different now than before. Like Generation X, I graduated in 1997. In the late 90s, right? That was the explosion of teenage pregnancies, right? You saw that on MTV. My Teen Moms and my Teenage Life, all that. It was an explosion between like 94 to 2000. Just an explosion of just kids having kids, right? High school teenagers having kids. And I my best friend, he was a teenage father, right? One of the girls, one of not my classmate, let's say that, right? He was going to get he had a baseball scholarship to Drexel University, right? His girlfriend got pregnant, or they got pregnant, right? He had to work, right? Couldn't go to Drexel anymore. They had to work. So, I saw those things and I was just like, that's not going to be me. And like, I'm 17 years old and I'm seeing this girl come into class with this huge belly. And I'm like, holy shit. And he's like, yo, I can't go to Drexel. Full scholarship for baseball. And I was like, you know what? Not going to be me.
Blame MTV for that. Blame MTV for that.
All right. Everyone on the panel, I think we're going to address this comment. Then I'm going to shut it down and give people everyone's final thoughts after we address this one. First, Luke Hazley says, my sister, a doctor, and her husband, a dentist, grew up in poverty. They will not pay for their kids' college. They want the kids to work for their education. What do you guys think of this?
I agree.
Wes, you agree?
I agree too.
It's about having a vested interest. Going to college, these things, at a certain point, children are no longer children. Our goal is to not raise children, but to raise adults. Now, when they're 18 and they're legal adults, and then we're still paying for their college to make sure they go to college, they haven't been weaned from the tit yet.
It's like enabling.
Yes.
So you said, so it's just like you and I agreed on earlier. People don't appreciate it until they have to work for it and earn it themselves.
If they don't want to go to college, they want to do something else. As long as they're paying for themselves, then good on them. Because I've seen so many people go to college. I've seen a lot of veterans go to college and they just waste their GI Bill for 4 years and get nothing out of it because they're like, I'm just trying to live off this. I'm trying, I earned this. And then at the end of that, they're like, well, what do I do now? I don't have anything to do because they never had a true vested interest. And I met a lot of young people, just graduated high school before summer. And I met a guy in college. He was in college for 2 years, still didn't declare a major. No vested interest.
I think the thing that blows me out of the water sometimes is the fact they get a degree and they go to some opposite job field. I knew a girl, pretty attractive chick. She got 2 degrees in business, and I asked, "Oh, so what do you do right now?" He's like, "Oh, I'm a stripper."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, well, I'm not judging, but I'm like, oh."
Most valuable lesson she learned there, huh?
Yeah. I just want to say this. I just want to say this.
Right, Deuce, right.
I'm not passing judgment on nobody. You raise your kids how you want to raise your kids. I do not care. But I would just say for me in my house, I want to have a name like Gates or Zuckerberg. And for me to do that, I need to put
everybody
my
thinks
children.
those two are quite evil, though.
I don't, bro. Whether they're evil or not, I don't care. Like it's about
so same level, but not the same tone. No,
what do you mean
I'm
by
following
that?
you. Like
he sees like the status and the money and stuff, but not the evil. Just leave the evil part out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my point is this. My point is this, right? That for me, I want my last name to have weight, right? When you go somewhere and they hear that last, like when you hear the name Gates, like, oh, she's a Gates, or he's a Gates, or here's a Zuckerberg, right?
Or Rockefeller,
Rockefeller, exactly, right? Like one of my long-term goals is to have a building at Harvard with my last name on it, right? That's one of my goals, right? I want to achieve a legacy of immortality. Like my last name will live on, just like Rolls Royce, right? Or Ferrari, like Enzo Ferrari, right? Those names will live on for infinity, right? And that's one of my personal lifetime goals. And to be able to make sure that goes on in perpetuity, I need to train my children and put them in the best situations, like all other elites do, right?
No pressure.
Like
no
all
pressure.
other elites do, right? So, yeah. So that's my plan. So for them, if they want to do that, because I mean, like, who's that guy named? The Oracle of Omaha. He's not going to give his kids money, whatever. But they have the last name as him, right? They're always gonna, be okay, right? Because they carry that last name. So the elite who say that is kind of crazy because their offspring have their last name. Warren Buffett, right? If you Warren Buffett say he's not going to give his kids any money whatsoever. But they have the Buffett last name. Who's not going to?
Not just that, he paid for all of his kids, his children, his grandchildren, great grands. As long as he's alive, he pays for all their education. They won't inherit any money. So I think his granddaughter is a dual Ivy League graduate, and she works as an au pair.
Yeah, all of them. Like for example, Ivanka Trump, right? I graduated when she was a sophomore. When she was a freshman. When she came in from Georgetown, right? I was 1 year. I just left when she went there, right? Buffett went there, right? Everybody goes there, and everybody put their kids in there. Trump went there. He puts his kids in there, right? Everybody goes, right? Why? Because it's the networking and putting your kids around other successful kids so they will be successful.
I got you, but that brings us to this one. I think this one leans more to what Wes said earlier. I had a friend who got his MD because his parents wanted him, and then he gave his parents the diploma and became an artist.
That's beautiful.
Okay, I got a story for y'all.
Holy shit!
I got a story for y'all.
Go ahead.
So I previously I was working for a staffing agency. Okay. And I enjoyed it. One of the guys that I was trying to help, he's a commissioned officer in the National Guard, 31 years old. He had a bachelor's in like political science and a master's in education. And the reason why he came to me is because he didn't want either of those things. He did it because his parents made him do it. And he didn't want that future. He didn't want to be a teacher. He wanted to do something different. So I set him up, and I had to do a lot of work to get him into it, but I set him up in a we call it press operator or CNC machine. Basically, it's a giant machine that has a lot of certifications behind it. You can take those certifications to a lot of places, and within a year, you're making at least $22 an hour. Within a year. And he was excited about it. Everything else he ever talked about, he was super wish-washy about. Everything else, he had no clue what he wanted to do. But when that was presented to him, he's like, man, I really want to do this. The day before he's supposed to start his job, he calls up and says, my parents told me I couldn't do it. They told me I have to go to law school.
Oh my God!
I'll do you one better, Wes. I'll do you one better.
One paying for it. His parents aren't paying for it. He's paying for it himself.
But I'll do you one better. You one better. I know a guy who had a master's in art degree, right? Got to talk to him. He's a cool guy. We start going to the same gym. He's like, yeah, like little behold, I didn't know he worked at that gym, aka 24-hour fitness. Here goes a master's in art degree, and he's working at the 24-hour fitness gym.
Master's in art?
Yeah, master's in art.
Well, of course he's going to work at a gym. I mean, he's not going to do with that.
The point I'm trying to get to, though, is
in art.
He wasn't doing what he wanted to do. He was doing what his parents were making him do.
What was his cultural background?
Never happy.
There's a lot more in that because some people have cultural backgrounds.
Oh yeah, he was Asian.
There you go.
So I got on the phone with him. I'm like, man, when do you get to do what you want to do? You're 31.
He's 31.
He was 31.
Yeah, 31, he said. But, there's a whole cultural background behind that. And then, you kind of get disowned from the family. And that's like the ultimate, punishment for going against your parents' wishes.
From the family than to spend your entire life being miserable trying to make your parents happy. And they're just never happy with you. It's better to just cut them out of your life.
Nah, see, that's a very American sensibility. Yep. You have to understand cultures and stuff like that. So, because immediately when you said that, I said that this guy had to be either Asian or like Indian or something like that.
Yeah.
But my final thought, I wanted to say something about the paying for school thing, right? I think that, yes, you have a responsibility as a parent to set your children up for success because guess what? Your kid did not ask to be here. Two people got together and did something that I did not tell them to do and resulted in me having to be here and live a hard life, right? It's your responsibility to provide for your child the best possible life and set them up for success as best as you can. And I feel like parents, once their kids get to the age of 18, they act like, oh, I kept you alive for 18. I've done my due diligence. And no, it's more than that. You have to, like you said, raise adults, right? So I'm absolutely... yes, it is it is a parent's responsibility to pay for school, and I think that it's irresponsible. It's reckless for parents. The way parents talk about setting, you want a silver spoon? You want to put a silver spoon in your mouth? Like you downplay it, and it's like, hey, listen, that was your job. Now you don't for the rest of their life. No, you're not indebted to you don't owe them a debt for the rest of their life, obviously, because you can't. Because eventually you got to wean them off the tit, but. As far as getting them set up for school and college and setting them up for success to become fully functioning adults in society, yes, that is part of your obligation. And that's where a parent's job never ends.
Yeah. And just to add on to Deuce's point, like a lot of other countries, kind of like India, where education is free, they have no excuse but to achieve and accomplish greatness in school. And so they go and they strive for it. So when they come here, they just, like you guys said, networking. They try to do the best they can, get to another different school they have to get an even better degree, get a higher status and level of it too.
And I will say, about the whole vested interest, I absolutely believe in a vested interest because I wouldn't have taken my education seriously if I didn't have a vested interest in it. So this is where you have to compensate, which I said earlier, you have to compensate with it in their upbringing, make them earn it. You know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't, if I had money set aside for my kid to go to school, I'm not going to tell them about it. You know what I'm saying? Like like you're just gonna go to school and we'll make it happen. And if I'm just dropping a couple grand in your account every couple months or something like that, and when you need help, you ask for it, I'm able to provide it. That's because of money that I set aside for you. You know what I'm saying? If I gotta buy you a car or get you a little A to B, listen, you're getting a 1995 Acura Integra. Like also, when you go to college, you're getting a 1995 Acura Integra, and I had two. I had a green one and a red one. You pick one. Pick which color you get.
No, I had a 1985 Toyota Celica manual transmission.
Hey man, listen, us Mexicans, we only buy Toyota and Honda. That's all we do. So if you see us, we mob it in that. We mob it in a Toyota Accord or a Honda.
We might be related then, because I had Honda.
There you go. Keep it in the family.
Everybody, let me take this opportunity to introduce Gray Pill himself. Gray Pill Podcast. How you doing tonight?
Hey, don't chuck my deuce, man. That's my deuce.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Okay, my bad. This represents for Ain't. All right. Cool. Nah, man, I appreciate being here. I just want to make sure, a great conversation like always. Very good conversation, because these conversations really need to be had. And I just want to pinch a little bit on Ain't said something that kind of resonated home with me, because that's a lot, because a lot of people don't do that. So kudos for him to go on that in depth. I'm from Jersey, bro, so I already know how it is between Jersey, PA, and New York. Like, it's rough out there, but somebody actually flipped that switch and said, you know what, let me just make that goal. Because before the Billings even said it best too, he said, hey, I recognized at that point in time I was broke and poor, so I never want to go back to that again. So that was his main focus and goal to move forward. You know what I'm saying? And a little bit what Dude's saying, like I like that, because a lot of parents I came across, I grew up like the Breakfast Club, you know what I'm saying? The parents didn't understand type deal. So I kind of formed my own little family. Luckily, I had positive friends around me, so we just kind of clucked together, actually talked about little stuff like y'all talking about. It wasn't as much. We didn't have that information back then, a pager and a payphone, you know what I'm saying, the library. So we actually ran to go get our information. So that's pretty much how I came up, you know what I'm saying? A little friend, just like giving a nudge just on the back. Sidekick. Yeah, exactly. Oh, bro. Unfortunately, I couldn't afford that. I remember back, it was like $100 then, but I had the library, I had the DVDs, so that was my information I would get. I had Reading Rainbow, 321 Contact, so that was my information. So I had to run and go get it. But lucky for me that something in like just your brain, Deuce's brain, a switch lit on and say, hey, let me try to focus on one thing. You know what I'm saying? But kudos to you, bro, just to going that far out your way to do that.
Yeah, because I just want to say something. Just because I came the hard way, like me and you, we both came the hard way, right? Jersey, Philly, it's rough out there. Just because we come that way, why the fuck would I want my kids to do the same? Because that's what we're saying. Because you know what? If I want them to be toughened up and responsible, I will send them to military boarding school. Because at least there's some organization with that. Right? Yeah. Because just putting them in the streets, that's nonsense. Right? Yeah. People who are from the streets had no choice but to be there. Right? We had no choice but to pay for education. We had no choice but to find our own way. Right? And just because we made it out doesn't make it okay. It just means we made it out. But don't we want a better community? Don't we not want this shit anymore?
Yeah.
Right. Well, if we don't want this shit anymore, that means we need to do something different from our parents. And God bless our parents. They did the best that they can do. But shouldn't we also do the best we can do? And so if I can do a little bit more than what my mom did, shouldn't I do that?
But that's how it's supposed to go, though. But and I'm not gonna knock my mom at. She did the best she can, but I'm just gonna keep it a buck, though. She never really instilled that that mentality you got, and you saying, hey, I'm gonna do it to my kids. Dude's gonna do it with his. That right there, that little nugget, like, hey, I want you to be better than me. Let me push that drive in you, because, like you said, you didn't ask to be here,
right?
So like keep that mentality and then let you have that same seat and keep move forward. But it's just like, I got a kid. Let me do the best I can. Okay, well, yeah, that's not enough, because you chose to have that.
Right. Well, and I'll tell you up front, I don't want my kid to be like me. I want my kid to be better than me. Now, will I tell him or her what to study? No. I mean, of course, there's freedom, but there's expectation as well. And expectation doesn't mean that they don't have freedom to choose or things like that. It just means I have expectation on what you need to do in your life. And I expect you to do better than me because you have more than me. Right?
Right. And also, William there are some people, like I personally know a person who was like, when their parents said, okay, when you're 18, you're out. I personally know a person, when he was 18, he was out. Like his parents
that was me.
Right. His parents had no interest whatsoever in investing in him, putting him in a better position than they were in. None of that. He joined the army, you know what I'm saying? Because like, what else is he gonna do? He literally got kicked out and slept on the street until he shipped out for the army.
Yeah,
like seriously, you know what I'm saying? It was messed up. And you, Deuce, you were a recruiter at one point in time. I'm sure you run into guys like that. Like to me, yeah, that's messed up in my opinion. But we gotta also factor in that, hey man, there are some people out there who don't care.
No, because you know, it's a very, like when I said about American sensibilities, right? It's a very American sensibility that once you, like, legally, once you're an adult, your parent does not have any, like, they're not legally bound to take care of you anymore once you're an adult, right? And 18 is a low bar, right? Because 17, you were just in high school. 18, some people, depending on your birthday, are graduating high school at 18. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You're still a kid. Right, you know, wisdom doesn't come with age, right? You don't just turn 18 years old and boom, you're smart, you're a fully functioning, capable adult. Absolutely not. And that's where a lot of parents who do that, in the communities that do that very often, and totally divest themselves of their parental responsibilities. Once their kid turns 18, they're doing their kids a disservice. And this is why a lot of these communities are held back, because growing up in Brooklyn, you would see like the Caribbean parents. They wouldn't let their kids work while they were in school. No, focus on school. Their father be out there plumbing, doing construction, doing all types of other stuff like that. Make sure that their kid had an advantage.
Me have 19 jobs, man.
Yeah, you're right. The Jamaicans doing 19 jobs in the dirty constructions. So, like, that's what I saw growing up, and that's what that's a parenting skill. That's a parenting sensibility and rationale that I want to do. I want to apply with my family. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And when I have children,
I also get the sentiment and the ideal of having your kids go if they decide to go to college, have them pay for it on their own. I do understand that ideal. I do. I understand where it's coming from.
You can pivot that. You can pivot that, right? They don't have to pay for it on their own, but you know, hey, if I'm gonna pay for it, you're gonna earn it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I can maintain 3.7, you can maintain, give them a bar, 3.0, 3.3, 3.5, graduate by honors. I don't care. You could graduate cum laude, magna cum laude, summa cum laude. I don't care, right? But give them a bar. You know what I'm saying? Give them a standard to keep. And we're military men, right? Where we come from is all about standards. Meet this standard, and I'll give you anything you want. And that's where their vested interest is. I can make your life very comfortable if you meet my standard. Right. And I'm not an overbearing person, so it's not gonna be nothing crazy. But if I want you to go to school, do well. Don't be partying, doing drugs. Don't call me for no bail money, because that's what I'm not paying for.
My parents like that. Yeah, my parents like that. Listen, you ever get arrested?
Let me call my side chick.
You ever get arrested over some bullshit? Don't call us, because I'm not coming to get you. And
you know what I'm
saying? Look, I don't know if that was the case or not. I never tested it, but I thought in my mind, hey, they mean that shit.
Yeah, but
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but hold on.
I have a quick question.
But hold on, but to agree, that's still like bad parenting too, because let's say if it's a traffic violation, it's not like minor, but if you just got, you know, into like, you know, the dope boy or selling or just murdering, then of course, like, hey, let's look into that real quick. But I'm not just not gonna cut you off, because mine did the same things. Like, hey, if you didn't do it, it's that third, like, don't call me. Now you getting scared to even come to your parents for anything.
Right. I mean, like be serious. If it's like minor stuff, like absolutely not. But if I send you to college to be in school, do what you're supposed to be doing, and then you're living a life that's not conducive to that, I'm not going to finance that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
now I got to clap back respect, because when you say living a life conducivity, and I'll give an example. Hey, Dad, I I got pulled over. I just got a ticket. I forgot my license, so the cop acting ignorant. So he just gave me he's locking me up. He won't even let me take a phone call at the street. So he locked me up. So I'm calling you from the police station on a Friday.
That's fine. I'm talking about the partying. Like, listen, you partying all the time. You're supposed to be in class and stuff like that. Listen, you can go to parties. I went to parties. You can go to parties and stuff like that. But if that's all if I send you to school and you're a fully functioning person, and then you come back alcoholic and a drug addict, you went up there and you picked up the wrong skills.
Can I give you guys a different one and see what you guys would tell me if I was a kid? Hey, Dad. Turns out I got this chick pregnant.
Oh, that's a good one. I want to throw you out for that.
No. Now it's even more.
Thank you to the Marine recruiter.
Yeah, right.
So my first question is, what's your plan?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's why I'm coming to you.
No, he's talking to Marcus.
You signing me? We signing?
That's why I'm coming to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, because for me, it's like if I find out a girl is pregnant, but I don't have a house, do I go and save up the money to get my own spot, or is it going to be okay for you guys to let me? Yeah, if you're my father, is it okay for me? It's like, hey, Dad, can I stay at your place, or while the baby is coming, or before the baby comes, and save up and get out? Would you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big proponent of that.
You and her could stay at my place, but you wifing her up.
Boom. Okay, I understand. I see that. I see your point. Okay.
Also, I want to. I
heard you do.
No. You were wifing her up. We don't do that in my family. Having kids. No disrespect to anybody that's listening or whatever. But in my family, we don't have children out of wedlock.
Mine's neither, but it's
here's
not.
the
But
thing.
still,
Gotcha. Here's the thing.
So if you want my help, my provision, living under my roof, that's the standard.
So we got to go to Vegas.
Well, there you go. There's the
Hey.
there's the standard.
You need to do, but there better be a marriage license. Shit.
I get you. All right, I got you.
I am a proponent. I am a proponent of children. I'm a proponent of people staying at home and saving up money. Like my mentor, right? He worked on Wall Street. He did very well for himself. He lived with his dad. He lived with his dad until he was like 28 years old. Now his dad was a retired federal agent, whatever, doing very well for himself. But he's staying home. You know what I'm saying? Still paid. They had a condo in Manhattan. He chipped in at home, but he saved a bulk of his money. And so when he got married at 31, he had money saved. You know what I'm saying? He'd saved money and investments and all that stuff like that. So when he got married, he was ready. And when I say ready, his wife is a PhD. And they had 5 kids like this. Boom, 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 boom. By the time he was like 36 years old, he had like 4 or 5 kids and a dog and a house with a white picket fence. Like, you know what I'm saying? And he would not have been able to do that if he did not have that support through those formative years. You know what I'm saying? Post-college. No matter how well he was doing in his job. All right, so I'm a proponent of that. My kid could come live with me and save up.
All right, Mandrell, what would you tell me if I gave you that question, that scenario?
You got a girl pregnant?
Mm-hmm.
What are you gonna? Oh, okay, listen. You can stay here I can't kick you out. I mean, what's that gonna do? You know what I'm saying? That's gonna make a already uncomfortable situation far worse. Okay?
Because like you guys said, I'm coming from the Ford University that when I said bye to you guys and I came back, I was like, hey, I came back with a Happy Meal, like, well, she's pregnant.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's pregnant, of course. I got to meet the woman, and I'm gonna talk to you about marrying the woman too. I'm not gonna put it like you must marry this woman. I'm gonna tell you, listen, bro, it's gonna be a real good idea that you get married. You don't want to have a kid out of wedlock. I'm gonna give you the whole spiel. I'm gonna talk to you about it, and I'm gonna tell you the pros and cons to it. I'm gonna lay it all out for you, okay, in detail. So then I'm gonna leave it to you to make that decision. And I'm going to reiterate why it's important that you get married to this woman and you two raise this child together. I'm going to do that again. Okay?
Right.
Look at you right in your eyes and explain to you why it's important that you marry this woman and you raise this child together and try to make this shit work.
Yeah.
And then I will leave the decision up to you.
I want to just add this if I could. I wouldn't trip. I wouldn't be mad. Well, I would be disappointed, but I wouldn't be mad. I would just say, hey, if you want my support, you guys got to get married. She'll come live with us, and we'll just work out a plan. If that's not what you want to do, then then you go to her parents, right? Because that's how I'm rolling. Over here, we have children in wedlock, and we'll work out a plan, and y'all both could come live here. We'll support you, because if you guys are 18, we'll support you. We'll take care of the kid while you both go to school and just kind of figure things out. But that's my thing. And if they said, well, we don't want to do that, then okay, cool. Then don't do that. Figure out something else, right? But the options on the table, right? Because I believe in making decisions, right? And so I would just say, so to be here, this is what you need to do. You can accept it, fine. If you don't accept it, also fine, whatever. But for my resources and support, this is my requirement, and I'll just leave it at that. I wouldn't trip. I wouldn't be angry. Well, I would be angry, but at that moment, I wouldn't trip, and I wouldn't say you must. I would just say, here are your two decisions. Decision one, if you can come with us, and here's the requirements. Or decision two, go to her parents or figure something else out. And you just decide which one is best for y'all. Life is about decisions.
Don't PC it now. Ain't get your ass a ring. Get it.
Okay. No.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I would cuss him out. I would cuss my son out. Like, you a bitch ass.
Yo, cuss me out and fucking Chinese and shit.
I ain't gonna lie, that's the worst.
We'll say
I would do
Hold on, guys. All right, right here. I'm gonna get right to you, going right to you, Mel. But what I gotta do, I gotta get the final thoughts, and I gotta wrap it up. All right. So, Mel, you just got here. Would you like to go first or wait till last?
I'll go first real quick. Yes.
Go ahead.
What I would do is, first of all, because my cousin did it with one of his twin sons and stuff like that. First of all, before she even get pregnant or anything, because we know there's going to be time we ain't going to want to use the Jimmy. So if we don't want to use the Jimmy, then you got to tell her, she got to take the pills, the shot, that stuff, get tested, all that stuff. She got to use contraceptives and stuff like that, Mm-hmm. And you know what I'm saying? And that's the only way you can prevent her from being pregnant and everything. But if y'all slip up and everything, yeah, I would lay a sentence. Yo, you got to marry that girl. Matter of fact, I would do it in the form of a fear base. Because some dudes get girls, you know what I'm saying? Roll those chicks, but they ain't want to get them pregnant. Well, you know what? I'm gonna put a fear base on you to make sure you get the wrong one pregnant and stuff. You're going to marry her. I'm with Ain't Sue shit. You're going to marry her because I ain't doing out of wedlock birth either to my family. You're going to marry her if you want to stay with me. If you want me to give you a boost and help you out for the first 5 years, you're going to marry her and you're going to take care of them kids and them 2-parent household. I don't give a damn about what her family thinks. This was going to happen because I don't know if she's able to get pregnant from you like that. She must have came from a single family household. But if she does come from a 2-parent household, I guarantee her father will agree with what I'm doing. She'll probably put the the gun in my son's head and be like, "You better marry my daughter." You know what I'm saying? So
what if she says no? I don't want to marry.
You got no choice. You want to
come back to the first
that fault. You have to deal with that girl's father.
All right, check it out. So when it comes to, because tonight's episode was about debt and finding a solution to debt. Of course, we know that the best way to get out the best solution to debt is to not get in it ever. But final thoughts on a solution.
Well, I would say for that, depending on what type of debt y'all was talking about earlier, because like I said, I wasn't here for that long.
Any pick one.
You have to teach. There is such thing as good debt because people use, let's say, a credit card. If you educate your kids how to use a credit card properly, that's debt that you use to build income, build wealth. See, there's such thing as good debt and bad debt and stuff. So we got the educate
you can't abuse the credit card.
Exactly. You know how to use the good debt to make more money. So, like they said, use the bank's money to make more money and stuff. Because we don't know like the proper, we find the truth that we put our money in banks. They making money out for our shit. So we got to teach our kids about the proper financial education tools of how to use debt and use it properly so they won't get too much of that. Don't spend more than what you're supposed to have. And stuff. Make sure you pay that debt by the end of the month. Which means all the money, if you're using a credit card, that credit card should be used to pay all your bills and everything, and that's it. Don't use none of your money until the end of the month to pay back that credit card, which now you're building points and even some cash back. You're building credit history to get you more money in that and stuff. So yeah, so we got to teach our kids about the finances of good and bad debt. So
nice. Okay. Right.
All right, brothers, man. Thanks for having me on for the show.
Appreciate it, Mel. No problem.
Till next time.
Mel.
Peace, Mel.
Plant Pill West. Your solution to give us a solution.
Well, first of all, a lot of times debt is either you just not having experience in the area or it's just a drug. A lot of times credit cards are drugs. It's an addiction. So I'd like to start by saying same thing I tell in every situation is make loving decisions for yourself. Think to yourself, what is the most loving decision I can make for myself? And you're going to start making good decisions for yourself. Debt, not all debt is bad. Mel was making good points there. If you're going to take on debt, make sure that is debt that's going to bring you more wealth. Best example is you need to get a car, take on debt to get a car, so that car gets you to work. Not a Ferrari, not a super nice, not an $80,000 car that you don't need, not an old beater. A sensible car that gets you to work that you can use to take care of yourself and your family. So, baby steps.
Okay.
So forget about the BMW or the Mercedes, right? Can we get that later?
No. Buy American.
I don't know about that. Okay.
Controversy.
All right. Great pill.
No, I'm with Wes, man. But just to add to that, I feel like it starts with the parents first. We didn't actually be born, even though we shouldn't have that disrespect attitude or tone about it. But the facts are facts. Y'all chose to have us for a reason, aka the legacy. If it's even any of that for the parents' mindset. Because if you had the mindset of legacy, then you put that extra fourth off, like Ain't Deuce and a majority of y'all guys are saying. But just to help with that, keep the kids' mindsets, whether you're the parent, whether you're the guardian, whether you're the auntie, whether you're the grandmother, that tribalism circle, that church family within that community of that child, and get them the baby steps. Like, look, you don't need the $20,000-$30,000 car. Like, hey, this would get you back to work. And now if your goal is to move something a little bit further, great, but just still keep it in. Look for the vehicle that can the best gas mileage, the nice apartment. You don't have to get the best apartment, but you want a little safer neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? The same thing even with vetting the girl. So if she on that different wavelength of suggestion that Wes said, then hey, clearly she's not for you, because she's a little bit of toxicing your morals and your morality and the stuff you're doing. So all that plays a key part, and keep that pushing. Same thing to your money. Save up. Invest a little bit of 3-month saving. I think Primal Studies on his channel, shout out to him. He's a big firm advocate of that. If you can put like 3 months of emergency fund just because, those things like that, or maybe have some people have a second credit card. Invest in learning things about that. The first credit card, the second credit card, you might need a backup. You know what I'm saying? So I know people that actually buy a second vehicle. Not these $30,000 vehicles to look flashy on a weekend, because we know how those guys go. They have the hoopy Monday to Thursday, and then drive the BMW and the classic cars on Friday to show off when they get their check. No. I know brothers and sisters actually have a second car just because I gotta get to work. I gotta have some backup. Hey, a family member that I know. Hey, my baby niece might need this vehicle just cause. So you got to have that type of mindset, and that's it. Gotcha. That helps out.
It does. It does indeed. We ain't signing.
Hello. Yeah. Final words, right? Final thoughts.
Yeah. On debt.
On debt. Yeah. I got it. So first and foremost is number one. I think it was Primal. I can't remember his name. Primal. He was right about not putting yourself in a position of debt in the first place. Second step would be try to live within your means to get out of debt. And number three, when it comes to education or college debt, you want to plan for the future, see what kind of your jobs that you can get after graduation, and that will tell you how much debt you can take on. Number two, with car debt, I just told you guys, go at the end of the month, go to a credit union to pay for it. Don't use the dealer to pay for it itself, and then pay 100 over invoice, not MSRP. MSRP and invoice are different. You want to say go invoice, right? You want to ask them for the invoice. And yeah, and then future and last thing, and I'm gonna go after this. Future message to my son: if you become a teenage father after I beat your ass and cuss you out, we'll have a calm conversation. Take care.
We ain't signing. We ain't signing. Shisha.
Yeah. Okay. Bullshit.
Don't cuss at me.
Marcus?
No, man. I appreciate it. And you guys are, very intelligent guys, despite what some of these streams where we might cap on Mandrell. You're a very smart dude. Respect to you, man. And respect to Deuce. Dunkashan Deuce. I know it's pretty, I don't know if it's late or morning over there right now, but, oh yeah. Well, there you go, man. Hey, I appreciate what you guys did. It's a great stream. Much love, and shout out to Black Man Unfiltered. Shout out to Mandrell. Come check him out on Wednesdays at 6:30. If I'm not correct.
Who?
6:30. For you, right? Is that when you come on? 6:30 Central. 8:30.
Yeah. 8:30
okay.
PM.
Well, 6:30 Western Pacific time. And yeah, man, just appreciate it and much love to both you guys.
All right, appreciate it. The double deuce.
All right, I'm writing mine down so I could be succinct and in this final thought. So, my rules are, pay yourself first. That's building your savings, whether it's 10%, whether it's 5%. Have money going into a second account, going somewhere else that you don't look at, that you don't log into, that you don't check or nothing. Like, you just totally forget about it. I have a couple of those, and it's come in handy over the course of my life. Build your emergency fund, right? And that's why I say you have a couple, because one can be your savings for like your fun stuff. Like if you save incrementally for you to do a trip, if you like to buy watches and you like to buy things for yourself, you can have an account set aside for those luxuries. Have another account for an emergency fund in case your car breaks down or anything like that, and you need a quick $1,000, $1,500 or something like that. And that's also how you build your. And don't just cap it there. Just keep it up incrementally. Just keep it going. Even if it's just 10% or something like that, because that could also be if nothing happens, Lord willing, nothing happens. That can be your 3-month emergency fund, 6-month emergency fund as time goes on and as it keeps building. Pay your bills first. Like, listen, you could not you could be broke. You could not have $1 in your name. If you pay your rent, your light bill, your water bill, as long as you got a place to rest your head at night, nobody knows what's inside your house. You could be in here, you could be in your house sleeping on the floor. You got an apartment, you got some place to live. That's what matters first. Pay your bills first. If you were jet broke after paying all your bills, you were successful that month. And you can eat 3 meals a day or even 2 meals a day. That's a successful month, right? You don't need all the other luxuries, Gucci belts, and all the other stuff like that, like that cats spending money on, and spending obscene amounts of money on alcohol and stuff like that. Like, pay your bills first. Save for retirement. Even if your job doesn't offer a 401k or an IRA or something like that, you can get one through your banking institution. You can get one through a credit union. IRAs are really good if you need money in a pinch, because you can also, if you ever want to invest, you can invest from your IRA. And you can pull money out of your IRA anytime you want. That actually helped me in a pinch one time when I needed something, because it's already taxed. So you're not going to take any penalties for taking money out of your IRA. If you're going to use your credit cards to buy everything throughout the month, do not use your debit card. Do not use your cash. Use the cash you saved up for your pay period to pay off your credit card at the end of the month. So that way you're building your credit, and then you're not incurring any interest, or at least pay off 50% of the card if you spent a little bit over. You know what I'm saying? But use your cash that you saved up at the end over your pay period to pay down the balance in your card. And you never want your card ready to go over 20%. And just live within your means. That's it. At the end of the day, live within your means. Because I'll tell you right now, even if I didn't have $1 million in my bank account, anything like that. Hey, listen, at my age, yeah, I'm 35 years old. At my age, I'm wearing sweats and sneakers and running sneakers most of the time, right? Like that, the whole,
Right.
if I'm not going out and I'm not wearing a suit or sports coat or anything like that, when I go out for drinks with my friends, my regular clothes are just sweats, t-shirts, and running sneakers.
Same here. I'm mostly in athletic wear.
Yeah.
90% of the time. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, most of the time I'm in athletic wear. You're right.
So usually the people you see that usually dress down, and I get that. When you're comfortable, like when you're comfortable financially, you're comfortable physically. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like then you seek comforts in everything else. Like, oh, no, I'm comfortable. I'm good right now. Okay. I don't got to show off. I don't got to impress nobody. I don't need to dress up to make myself feel better or make myself look better because I'm financially insecure.
Absolutely.
And that's my final thought.
All right. Appreciate it. Hang back.
Appreciate you for having me, brother.
No problem. Hang back for us, okay? For the after show. All right. So another episode. I hope you guys like it. This is about the debt solution. This was entitled The Debt Solution, okay? And I think everyone on the panel said all there is to say. Live within your means. Save up for retirement. Get a Roth IRA. Take this advice, and please, people, please resist the urge to splurge on nonsense or things that are not going to be beneficial to you. Okay? Remember, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. See you next week.